McMahon drives that to left indeed. Collins looking up. That ball is gone. Ryan McMahon shoots one up and out the other way. And the Yankee lead is now 7-0.
Stop! He's already dead.
Yeah. It's, Is that true?
Yeah.
Is the season already dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yes.
I'm not mad.
What are you then?
Disappointed.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I don't even think I'm disappointed or mad anymore. I think I've become agnostic.
You're just numb, Jason.
Yeah, and I'm not even comfortably numb either. Just simply numb to it. Because there was a time earlier this year where the last couple of days would have annoyed me, would have bothered me. But they happened, and I just, sort of went on with my life. And no emotion or reaction whatsoever. They're now 12 games under 500. They are 10 games back in the Central. We can talk all we want till we're blue in the face about how the Guardians, this isn't sustainable, and the Guardians will come back to the pack. The problem is the Royals won't elevate to the pack. So we can discuss all we want about the Guardians or this and the Guardians or that. They're 10 games back in first place. They're 5 games back from the third wild card. And you got to pass like 7 teams to get there. So, am I disappointed? No. Am I mad? No. Am I frustrated? Not anymore. No. There is no emotion that the Royals play brings me. Even if they're playing well in a game, it does not bring excitement because the returning home was, man, they suck on the road, but they're really good at home. And then they return home and they get beat down outside of 2 games against the Mariners. And those 2 games were like, okay, 9 games under, get ready for the Yankees. And then the 9th inning happened, and it kind of just, the 9th inning on Monday may have been the final straw.
Yeah.
It was okay. Or maybe Tuesday was the final straw with the 15-1 loss. And at that point, it's like, okay, you had a chance to win 3 in a row, which, woohoo! They have had 2 losing streaks longer than their longest winning streak this year. So, hey, you can win 3 in a row and get a game and break the streak against the Yankees. Then you don't, then you get beat down. And then Garrett Cole's going to the mound the next day. So then you get Bailey Falter talking about what Bailey Falter's talking about after the game. So maybe it was the 9th inning of Monday to the first 3 innings of Tuesday. So a 4-inning stretch that sort of ended it. The 9th inning and then the first 3 innings when they were down 9-0. 11 runs in 4 innings that was scored. And you lost both games essentially because of those 4 innings. And it was all the bullpen, but that's fine. That's the position they're in. So there is no emotion that is invoked from me right now when I watch the Royals. And that's a bad thing. It's not even sad anymore. I've moved on. Like, honestly, I have moved on. I'll watch the Royals, but I am at the position now where if I don't see the game live, like if Little Man has a game or Jules has a game, I'm not going to go home and start it from the beginning and watch like I was earlier this year. And I'm not alone.
They never tell you. Like, you get into sports talk radio because you love sports and you like watching sports. They don't tell you that when your team that you cover sucks and you have to watch them get beat down night after night after night after night. Ain't no night moves.
They're not. They should be working on some night moves. They should have been working on some moves last night to what they could do today.
No silver bullet band.
There's nothing of the sort. There is nothing of the sort right now. So that's going on with the Royals. We can get into and talk about that. I actually think this Royals team I'm going to compare it to the pre-Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs. In the series we just watched, I'm going to compare it to the pre-Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get into that as to how this Royals team, to me, compares to the 2013 to 2017 Chiefs. So we'll talk about that. If only they can get a Mahomes like the best player in baseball or something, that'd be awesome. No, obviously there's a big difference between the best shortstop in baseball, the best human in baseball. I don't mean person, I mean just actual the best non-alien in baseball is Bobby Witt. But you need more than that if you're trying to win a World Series, as we saw with the Angels and Tungsten Arm O'Doyle for years.
The Angels had 2 dudes.
Exactly.
Still couldn't do it.
They had one alien, another guy that's one of the greatest of his generation to play, and still couldn't get it done, and got swept by the Move the Line Royals in 2014. And a guy that grew on a third base tree in Mike Moustakas.
Oh, yeah.
So that was awesome. So I want to get in and talk about that. Matt Lane will join us at 11 o'clock, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, get his thoughts on the Chiefs, OTAs, etc. Coming up at 11 o'clock. In the 1 o'clock hour, we'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs. At 11:20 is when OTAs open up for the final day of these voluntary OTAs. The media can be out there. They can film like different warm-ups and stuff like that, but then they have to stop filming. But they can watch, and they can make their observations of what they're seeing. It's a passing camp, so we'll see what the different things can come out from today. We've seen the Chiefs release a couple of videos. We've seen Matt McMullen release a video and a breakdown of De Jesus, the undrafted free agent out of Unlv. It's spelled UNLV, but I think it's pronounced Unlv. But Matt McMullen had a breakdown of him and his 100 receptions and all of the return yards and things like that. And
you have a chance. I mean, honestly,
Derek Dieter liked him. He'll be at the pickleball thing tonight in Overland Park with Gehrig and Noah Gray's pickleball tournament. So De Jesus will be there tonight. Man, what if he brings David with him? What if he brings his older brother David?
I don't think they're related, are they?
They're not? Oh.
Yeah.
Nobody with the Jesus.
Oh, it's pronounced the Jesus. Sorry. I thought it was De Jesus. Or it's the Jesus.
Darcy, little Big Lebowski, come on.
I thought
I'm proud of you.
I thought it was De Jesus. But it's a passing camp, so we'll see. There's videos of him. There's video of Cyrus Allen. And I think people will be watching for Mansour Delane, Kennedy, some of the rookies and things like that. So we'll talk with Matt Lane, but we'll hear from the Chiefs in the 1 o'clock hour. Andy Reid, and we think Mahomes.
Yeah.
But we'll find out.
What are the odds we get anything on Rasheed? What do you think Andy says? What do we think Andy says, like verbatim?
He's not here right now.
We're handling it. Brett Veach is handling all that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's Veach handles all
It
that.
won't even be Brett Veach. This is Veach. Veach is handling all that. Yeah, I mean, we've been in contact with him, and we're aware of everything that's going on, and he's not here right now. And, when he's ready to join us, he'll join us. I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know what we're going to hear. I don't know how Andy Reid will answer that question, because also there may be follow-ups from that question. I think Patrick Mahomes may be asked about it in the have you had conversations with him? So we'll hear from the Chiefs coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. So outside of Rashee Rice and the conversation or the Q&A with Andy, like, is there anything to glean or hear that would be of interest tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, at 1 o'clock from Andy, to hear from him? Because it's a passing camp, so it's not like, hey, the running game, Kenneth Walker. Could be Kenneth Walker as a receiver.
Maybe Rashard Smith.
Rashard Smith could
if
be
he's a
interesting.
running back or wide receiver, where do you see him lining up? But again, that's a fringe guy.
Yeah.
Jalen Royals and Cyrus are probably the two guys you really look at. Mm-hmm. Probably, because I think one of them needs to be a factor this year, especially with the way the wide receiver room currently looks.
Yeah.
Maybe Kyer Elam, since it is passing, and again, he's outside CB4 right now. There's not a ton. It's just exciting to hear from them at this point because the Royals are so bad that now I am going to focus on the 6-11 Chiefs from last year.
Yeah, they were only 5 games under 500.
Yeah.
Royals right now are 12 games under 500. Like I was trying to think of it this morning. Like, okay, so the Rashee Rice Q&A that will take place, it'll also be, Andy, Patrick Mahomes. How much are you getting from him? How much are you having to keep him from trying to do too much? Integrating Justin Fields and Nussmeier into the offense while knowing that Patrick probably wants to take every single rep with the ones. But you have to delegate more than maybe you would in the past with the ones. So maybe there's something along those lines. Is there a receiver that can make the team? There's a few things. I want to hear from Pat and how, if he thinks he's ahead of schedule. If what the schedule was, if he feels like right now he's pacing to be ahead of schedule, if his plan is to, no matter what, be out there week number 1. Does he plan on trying to play in preseason games? Does he think he'll be, quote, fully cleared? What does 100% mean? Will he return to football if he's not, quote, 100%? Will he go out there on the field if he's not 100% in that knee? And, of course, there are different definitions of that. Again, Aaron Borgman saying that the graft won't heal till about a year. So if you're saying specifically, completely pre-injury 100%, it's probably a year out from surgery. So I think we'll hear from Patrick Mahomes today. There's 2 different media availabilities today, one at 1 o'clock and the other at 2:30. And the way I understand it is the offense is going to be available at 1 o'clock, the defense at 2:30. So that'll be during Petro's show. Probably hear some clips and some people there during Petro's show. So we'll see what happens with that. I want to play this clip just because we heard it yesterday and we were talking about it yesterday. So let's hear from Matt Quattrero before the game took place, before they were swept by the Yankees, and they DFA'd Bailey Falter before the game. And we talked about it, like before you release the lineup, Bailey Falter is going to be DFA'd. Falter said it was a late minute start, meaning last minute start. Frustrated with my role. I'm in the bullpen. I'm getting ready to pitch each day. Then I got to go out there and start. And it's just tough to find a routine there. So here's the back and forth or Q&A with Matt Quattrero specifically about Bailey Falter, why you DFA'd, and what was the communication like?
As far as why we DFA'd Falter, it just, frankly, just didn't work out. The performance, didn't work out the way we would have liked or the way he would have liked. So we thought it was time to get a fresh start.
He made some comments post-game saying that he was pretty frustrated with his role and kind of insinuated that last night was a last-minute start. Did you hear that, and what would be your reaction to that?
Well, I knew he was frustrated. I mean, he wanted to be a starter. He prepared himself all offseason to be a starter, and we told him that coming into the season it was a competition for the rotation, and it was. And we made a decision in the spring to go a different direction with the rotation, and that landed him in the bullpen as somebody that we thought could be a valuable swing guy, kind of how the season started, throwing, multiple innings, or coming in one-inning situations, and we knew it would take some time for him to adjust to that, having been a starter his whole career. And then with the injury, and he went down to rehab, and most of it was in the bullpen, because at the time we had 5 healthy starters, and then when we had the hole open up with Bubic, I view those days as bullpen days, and whether you are the first guy to come in or the guy that comes in second or third, you don't treat it much differently. Now, in the case of yesterday, we made him aware a couple days prior that he'd be starting the game, and just go out there and give us what you got for as long as you can.
Is that is it hard to, like, the fact that he thought it was a last-minute start, I mean, does that not make a lot of sense to you, given that he did know a couple days before?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was frustrated. I mean, that's human nature, that things didn't go well, not only yesterday, but in the time he was here with us, and I understand there's frustration. That's part of being a human being, and all we can do is communicate the best that we possibly can.
So, Quattrero saying he was notified a couple of days in advance that this would be a bullpen game. So whether you're going to come in the first inning, third inning, whatever it is, it's a bullpen game. You're going to be pitching that day. So be ready to go to pitch that day, and you're probably going to be starting. He said he was notified 2 days in advance that he was going to be starting. So it wasn't a last-minute start. It wasn't a late-minute start. The role is obvious. You're in the bullpen, except for that fifth day that comes around when Chris Bubich is not there. You're going to be an opener. So I do believe the communication was there. I thought Jack Johnson had an interesting theory yesterday in that after the game was over, before Q talks, there's about 15 to 20 minutes there in the clubhouse, and then the clubhouse is open. His theory is they let Bailey Falter know they were going to DFA him after that game was over.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah.
And then Bailey Falter went and gave his thoughts about why he was being DFA'd without saying he was being DFA'd, in letting other teams know the only reason I'm performing like this is because these guys are jerking me around. I mean, it's a bullpen. Now I'm going to start. This was a late-minute start. I wasn't prepared to go out there and start today, which is total BS, because when somebody gets injured, is that next pitcher prepared to come in? Cole Reagans took one off the hand, and Avila's got to come in and pitch. Oh, Avila going to the media in the clubhouse after and go, well, this was just a late-minute start. What am I supposed to do? Go out there and pitch? I mean, the guy, I wasn't planning on starting today. Like, it's a complete and total excuse. One of my takeaways, though, and why I wanted to play that clip today, even though before the game yesterday and all of that stuff, and we talked about Bailey Falter being DFA'd. One, we wanted to know the communication. We wanted to know, like, who does that say more about? Because we talked about this yesterday. Who does it say more about, Bailey Falter or Matt Quattrero? I think it says more about Bailey Falter than it does about the Kansas City Royals, and I know it's easy right now to try to dunk on the Royals. But you know what my takeaway from that, Sterling, is? We get frustrated, and obviously I did. I enunciated clearly.
It was a Mick Cronin.
That's right. I enunciated clearly about Lane Thomas running to second really hard in a game where Lane Thomas got thrown out trying to steal third, and Michael Garcia dogged it out of the box. And the question was about getting thrown out on the base paths. And Matt Quattrero starts with, yeah, but we had a guy that ran really hard to second. So I got frustrated there because it wasn't just the, hey, Lane Thomas ran really hard to second. It was the almost feeling like you're excusing the other things because, well, it's just the price of doing business. And the difference being, like, okay, well, this guy's going to dog it from time to time, but we've got guys that do run hard, so it balances out. Remember when Steve Spagnuolo talked about L'Jarius Sneed? And L'Jarius Sneed would get holding and illegal contact penalties, and it'd be annoying. And Steve Spagnuolo said something that made me stop complaining or saying anything about, good God, there's another illegal contact. It's third and 8, and it's a 5-yard illegal contact by L'Jarius Sneed. Quit mugging him, dude. And Steve Spagnuolo said, it's the price of doing business with a player that we have full faith that plays physical football. We're going to give up some of those, but he also is a shutdown corner. And so, yeah, there are going to be times when we have to deal with that. And we will live with that because of what we get.
Yeah.
The other plays throughout the season. And it was like, you know what? Good call. Good call. Because there are times that maybe he's maybe a little less handsy and is shutting down a receiver, and then another play where he's playing it the same way. A receiver beats him a little bit, the hand gets in there a little wrong, and it's an illegal contact, and it's like, well, you live with those things. This is not that. You're not talking about a team that has the best record in baseball, and they are so good on the base paths that every once in a while they do get a little too aggressive. That is you'll live with some of those mistakes because you're so aggressive that you have been one of, if not the best in baseball in your aggressiveness on the base paths, that every once in a while getting thrown out on the base paths is an exchange you're willing to make. the L'Jarius Sneed illegal contact and some holdings from time to time because he's a physical, overwhelming cornerback when he was out there. Okay? But my takeaway from this is, while my frustration took place there, Sterling, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and I hope there's frustration and there's some conversations about things that are unacceptable on a baseball team, because there's no doubt in my mind that Q and JJ, Sweeney, whoever else, when they heard those comments from Bailey Falter, thought, bleep you, dude.
Yeah.
Bleep you. And what did Q say yesterday? Well, he's probably just frustrated. He's frustrated. It didn't go the way that he would hoped, and it's just I get it. He's frustrated and then moved on. He could have very easily said, "Yeah, I don't get that." We told him we were in communication with him. He can say that all he wants, but he knew 2 days in advance that he was going to start. I mean, sounds like an excuse. He didn't pitch well, and he's probably mad that he didn't pitch well. But it's no excuse to say that you weren't ready because he had 2 days advance, and we told him that he was going to start on Sunday. He knew he was going to be starting on a Tuesday. He could have very easily said that, and people would have went, "Yeah, I'd be pissed off too if some player tries to throw the coaching staff under the bus and says that." I'm imagining behind the scenes, or I would imagine and expect behind the scenes, there's probably you know what, Bailey, go away. Bleep you, dude.
Yeah.
We won't even offer a AAA contract to you if all the DFA stuff passes. But Q publicly saying, he's just frustrated.
Yeah.
To me, might be a peek behind the curtains of when there's some frustration from us of, Q, what the hell are you doing, man? All we hear is like, excuse here, excuse there. That maybe there's more behind the scenes. I say maybe because I don't know. There might not be, by the way, because these players are on the team, right? They're still on the team in the clubhouse. There might not be, but I would guess there's probably a bleep you, Bailey Falter, behind the scenes of what you said, while publicly Q goes, he's just frustrated. No big deal.
Well, Q tries his best, and that's the whole Lane Thomas thing.
Yeah.
And he brought up Lane Thomas again the other night for running out a ground ball in the 9th inning.
Down 15-1.
He's going to try and always have his players back.
Mm-hmm.
And some guys respond to that, right? Some coaches will publicly say that's unacceptable. What we've seen Atlanta, we've seen
Brewers manager with Admiral Uribe.
Yeah, I mean
that said completely unacceptable.
Yeah, I forget. Why am I drawing blanking?
Why am I blanking on his name?
It's not Craig Counsell
because he's been manager of the year like twice.
Is it Pat something?
Pat Summit. No, it's not Pat Summit. It's not
something.
Pat Murphy.
Pat Murphy. Thank you.
Pat
Murphy. Appreciate you. Yes, Pat Murphy. You know what?
I knew it was Pat.
Yeah, it's Pat.
But some managers have their players respond, and some players like that. I think the rest of the team sometimes like it when they get called out like that. But we've seen Q, because who even knows with the I always go back to the CAG situation with the reverse splits.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it wasn't that. Maybe he slept in. Maybe he missed something, and maybe I'm completely off base here, but I think that was Q trying to say, I'll take the blame. I don't want any more pressure on Cags, make him feel bad. We saw what happened with Carter, and that turned into a way bigger thing than it needed to be.
Yeah.
So part of me thinks that this is who he is. He's not going to publicly come out and say much. He's going to try to have his players back as much as he can. The issue is the players clearly haven't responded.
Yeah, right. Totally agree with that. And I think this could be an example of things happening behind the scenes that publicly are presented in a more positive way because that's the way they are trying to handle the overall clubhouse, when behind the scenes there may be more of a discussion of things that are and are not unacceptable and how you play the game and what the level of expectation is when you put on a jersey for a major league team. But publicly, Bailey Falter, he's just frustrated. He's just frustrated.
He could have gone Jerome Tang. I'm pissed.
You know what? I'm pissed.
A lot of these dudes,
they're not going to be wearing this jersey, including Bailey Falter. He's not going to be here next year. I'm pissed right now. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. How do the Royals right now, after this Yankees 3-game sweep, compare to the Chiefs in 2013 to 2017? We'll explain next.
The Royals might suck, but this deal doesn't, because FanDuel is giving you better payouts on same-game parlays all NBA playoffs long, with more ways to build and more value every time you play. You can stack your picks your way for every game, every matchup, and every moment. From spreads to player points to threes and more. Build it all into one same-game parlay and go for bigger payouts. So if you're betting same-game parlays, there's no other place to do it right here on FanDuel. There's more options, better payouts, all NBA playoffs long. We got a game tonight. OKC, they can close it out, but it's in San Antonio. Thunder, Spurs. Spurs are now 3.5-point favorites at home. I'm actually going to roll with the Spurs. I think they come out. They're not going to want to lose the series at home. They will go all in on this one. I like the over as well. A little extra juice on the over of 219.5. So give me the Spurs and give me the over. I am doing that right there on FanDuel, and you can too. So to FanDuel.com/local to get started.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We'll talk with Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We continue on this Thursday edition of The Zone. We'll hear from the Chiefs coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, Andy Reid and some offensive players. Not sure who will be at the podium with the offense. Hopefully Patrick Mahomes. I would guess that it would be Patrick Mahomes. Defense will be talking at 2:30.
I'll tell you who won't be there.
I'm thinking Jerry Rice.
Close.
Oh, he'll be there?
No.
Okay, so I was right then, right?
Well, Jerry Rice has a better chance of being there than Rashee Rice.
That's a good call. You know what? That's exactly right. Jerry Rice has a much better chance of being there than Rashee Rice. You are correct about that, sir. So how does this Royals team remind me of the 2013 to 2017 Kansas City Chiefs? That's the question everybody is wondering. No, it's not. It's not.
I do wonder how you're going to make this comp.
Okay. So I'm not paying much attention to the game last night. It's on, but am I watching much of it? Not really. I'm doing other things, right? Coming up with other things for the show, or just, generally living my life and not worrying much about what's going on with the Royals. But when you see the end result, losing 15-1, losing 7-0, and then losing 4-3 on Monday. One of my takeaways is that this series highlights with, bold letters, what's the difference between what we see with this Royals team that we think, has a chance to go to the play before the season, has a chance to go to the playoffs, maybe the most talented team in the AL Central. Still could be the case, they're just playing terrible baseball, or all the injuries mean they're not as talented, or we were wrong about some of the talent based on what we thought about 2024. So this team versus the Yankees and seeing a 26-4 beatdown, I think it's a clear indication when we look at it and go, that's what a championship team looks like, right? Whether they're paying for it or not, I don't care about all of that. Because, by the way, paying for it or not, Cam Schlittler was a 7th-round draft pick by the Yankees.
Yeah.
Will Warren was a 6th-round draft pick by the Yankees. I might have flipped those, but I know one of them was 6th rounder, one of them was 7th rounder.
I think you're correct. Schlittler was a 7th rounder.
Schlittler 7th.
Gosh, it is terrifying to say his name on air.
Schlittler.
His mom.
Hell.
Is it a Stifler's mom?
Yes, Schlittler's mom. I almost said his mom. He was drafted in the 7th round, Will Warren in the 6th round. But when I look at this team, again, that's what a championship team looks like, right? The Royals have a couple of championship-type players where obviously Salvi was a World Series MVP. He is not that player anymore. But I think Salvi is a catcher that can be on a World Series team.
I agree.
The Royals catcher is not Elias Diaz or Fermin. I love Fermin, but that's not their everyday catcher, even though that's a championship-type team because what the Padres have everywhere else in the pitching and the back end of the bullpen and Jason Adam onto the Mason Miller, and good God, it's their version of HDH and everybody else there. So you can do that with a particular player. Bobby Witt clearly is a championship-type player. I think Michael Wacha is a great player to have on a team that can win a division and go to the playoffs and win. If that's your number 3 starter in a series, you feel great about an opportunity to go out and win that game because quality starts typically result in wins in Major League Baseball for that team. So you can see a clear difference between that. And the comparison I'm making to 2013 to 2017 is pre-Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs were making the playoffs. The Chiefs were winning divisions. The Chiefs were losing in the playoffs. Now this team, Royals team, is not making the playoffs multiple. They did make a playoff in 2024, and they were above 500 last year. But when the Chiefs played the Patriots in the regular season versus in the postseason in 2015, and then played the Steelers in 2016, and then losing to the Titans in 2017. There's a part of a conversation around here with the Chiefs of, man, you couldn't take advantage of winning a game where the other team didn't even score a touchdown, and the holding call on Eric Fisher, and they had such an opportunity to win that game. And Derek Johnson, it was not forward progress. And Mariota catches his own damn pass for a touchdown. And the Patriots, I mean, you have the slowest 2-minute drive in the history, down a couple of scores, and you slow play the touchdown and you never get the ball back. You're so close. You're one possession away from beating the Patriots, one possession away from the Steelers, one possession away from the Titans. You're so close. You're right there. And then 2018 and 19 and 20 and on happens. And don't we get a real slap in the face of, you know what, the Chiefs really weren't that close to winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They weren't a possession here or there away from winning a Super Bowl.
They were a possession away from winning a game.
Yes. Yes. Now go win multiple games. And when the Chiefs are winning these playoff games by a score, with Patrick Mahomes, with Spagnuolo, with the defense, with the leaders there, with, again, one of the greatest players in NFL history and the greatest quarterback of his generation, and they're winning one-score games by doing that, we see what a real championship-level football team looked like and how wrong we were. We as in anybody that thought, this team is close, man.
Yeah.
If they can get a possession here or there, they find a way to win that game. Ooh, and I like the matchup the next round. And you never know, the Jags.
You had to play perfect. That's
the
what
Jags
it was.
and Blake Bortles were there in an AFC championship. They had a chance. You're right there. But they weren't. And that's the thing about this Royals team. It's like, man, they were 1-1 returning home against the Yankees in the divisional round. And if you win that, you're in the freaking ALCS. Anything can happen. Then you go to a World Series. We saw it in 2014 because 2014 felt like a fluke. But what in reality was 2014 was the beginning of what that championship team looked like and how they were built to be a championship team in that era of baseball when the market deficiency was bullpen arms that weren't viewed as valuable or expensive as starters. And the Royals said, we will have an ace from the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. You guys can have an ace for 6 innings. We'll have an ace for 4, and it'll be a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. It was, can the starter go 5 innings, give up 3 runs,
Right.
and that was going to be enough.
And then the rest of the game, you will have opportunity after opportunity to tie the score or come back because you're not giving up any runs. So that 14 season was like, man, what a great ride. It happened. I watched my team in the World Series. And they returned in the next year, and they were the number 1 team in the American League, and they win a World Series, and it wasn't fluky about it. It was a championship team. And because we have that in 15, different era type of baseball now, we can look back and go, yeah, look what that team had, though, man. I mean, they had it. They had players. They had guys coming through. They had outfield. They had defense. They had charisma. They had bleep you. They would devil magic the hell out of that. Sometimes they would be yoasted, but for the most part, the other teams were yoasted. They had HDH. Then they had HD. And they had pitching that was good enough to get them through 5 or 6 and then hand it off to that team. So that was a championship team, not a fluky run. This team was, 2 wins away from beating the Yankees in 24. And they have gone backwards since then. And watching the Yankees firsthand here, whether they're paying for it or not, I don't care about that. I'm talking about what a championship team looks like. And when the Chiefs played the Patriots, and then 2018 happens, and you go, actually, the Chiefs literally were a possession away from going to the Super Bowl, and I think winning the Super Bowl. And they're going to do it with Mahomes moving forward, where that's the difference of Alex Smith and the defensive players they had versus Patrick Mahomes and the revamped defense and Steve Spagnuolo. They weren't one possession away. They were an all-time quarterback, a phenomenal defensive coordinator, and different dogs on the defense to lead a mentality that bleep you, we ain't getting pushed around. This ain't an offensive team only. We're going to be some guys that are going to be some bullies out here too. And ain't nobody jumping off sides here.
to me, the Royals, the last 2 years really went all in on outlier seasons from guys. They built around outlier seasons. They built around Garcia, who last year had, I think, an outlier season. They built around Vinny, who had a 30 and 100 season. They gave a lot of money to Seth Lugo, who was, top 5 in Cy Young? Was he top 3?
It was like 2 or 3. I think it was 2 and 4. I think he was second and Reagan's was 4th.
They built around Reagan's in 24, who had what now looks like an outlier season. Well, when you do that, what happens if they're just merely base case of what these guys are? What happens when they're not all having outlier seasons?
Yeah.
Well, this is what happens. And I know this is worse than I think any of us could have even expected, but that'd be like the Chiefs continuously doing that of, well, let's build around they were one play away, one snap away. So we're going to stay with Alex Smith. We're going to keep all these guys because we're going to base it on that outlier year. That's not winning. That's not championship baseball. That's not championship sports.
It's a great point, by the way. It's an amazing point because I hadn't thought about that element of that Chiefs team versus Royals team. Because when you say building a team on an outlier season, the Chiefs went through 2017 with Mahomes as a rookie. Clearly could have played that year. We see that. They lose to the Titans. Kelsey's out. Unfortunate, different things happen. Again, Mariota's touchdown pass to himself, Derek Johnson's forward progress, all of that stuff.
Jeff Triplett retiring after the game.
Triplett being a dumbass and not being good enough to be an NFL referee. But outlier seasons, it's a great point. What I love about like baseball reference, pro football reference, basketball reference is that you go to a player's page and the bold numbers in what they led the league in, those different bold numbers, there are 5 bold numbers in Alex Smith's entire career. 5 bold numbers in his entire, all those things, yards, TD percentage, INTs, first down, success percentage, all across the board to QBR, sacks, yards, yards per catch, yards per game, average yards per attempt, all of that. There are 5 bold categories. In 2010 or 2011 with San Francisco, his interception percentage was 1.1 because he had only 5 interceptions that year. And in that same year, he was sacked 44 times. There's 2 of them. The other 3, 2017. Interception percentage, 1%. Average yards per attempt, he led the league at 8.6.
Yeah, there was no more checking down that year.
Quarterback rating, 104.7. He led the league that year in quarterback rating. Imagine if the Chiefs said, I know we drafted Mahomes in the first round, but we're getting out of our quarterback what we wanted to get. So do we really go from Alex Smith that led the league in quarterback rating, that led the league in yards per attempt? Like, this is what we wanted, right? We wanted to go down the field more. This guy is pushing the ball down the field. He's running the offense. It's the only season where he's had 4,000 yards passing. It's the most touchdown passes of his entire career. This guy is now hitting his stride. Do we really press the eject button now and go to this rookie who's unproven, or second-year non-starter who's unproven because he had a nice game against the Broncos when nothing mattered? Are we really going to do that and make this decision? Look what Alex Smith did this year. But they didn't let a career year cloud what the strategy and the plan was moving forward, and that was we drafted Mahomes, we traded for him, he's the guy, and it was an amazing year by Alex Smith, which probably allowed us to get a second-rounder or whatever it was, and then Kendall Fuller in the trade because he had such an amazing year.
Yeah.
Great, that's awesome. But they didn't change course because, well, hell, that's 4,000 yards. He had almost 30 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and he wasn't just check down Charlie. He's doing what we've asked him to do. He's getting it. We're not going to eject now. We got a few more years of a rookie contract with Mahomes. We're going to stay with Alex Smith at least one more year. They didn't do it. They didn't let a career year say, okay, this is now who he is.
Correct.
In a career year. It's a really good point that I hadn't connected with this Royals team and that Chiefs team and the decision the Chiefs made. Now, the Royals weren't exactly in a position to say, all right, let's go get this goat and put him in this spot, as
Sure.
opposed to saying, like, they aren't. They didn't have Bobby Witt waiting to take over for Adalberto Mondesi, in 2024, and Mondesi was amazing.
Yeah.
And Bobby Witt was sitting there ready to go, and they're like, well, Mondesi had a career year, so we're going to stay with Mondesi and let Bobby Witt sit. Like, that wasn't the case, so it's not a direct comparison because it's two different sports. But the career year for Alex Smith was 2017, and they still said, sorry, we're trading you. We're moving on to Patrick Mahomes, who's made one start in his career. And the Royals have to take chances in extending a Michael Garcia, in hoping that it is not a career year, that this is who he is.
And it's not a bad. I'm okay with him extending him, but thinking he's going to be a 800 OPS Gold Glover, feels outlierish.
Yeah, and not trading Cole Reagans, not moving on from Cole Reagans the way that the Chiefs moved on from Alex Smith, not moving on from maybe Chris Bubich. Not making those decisions in the offseason because you felt like you were going to get back to 2024 and somehow miraculously these guys were going to remain healthy this year. You made those decisions and they're not working out because the Lion didn't go crazy. The Lion went Lion. Reagans and Bubich didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Reagans and Bubich went Reagans and Bubich and they got injured. Harambe didn't go crazy. Harambe was just a gorilla. He just, we talked about it yesterday with Mick. It's just a gorilla. Reagans and Bubich, they're just injured. It's what they do. We'll take a time out. More Zone next. All right, man, if you're out there and you happen to be suffering from erectile dysfunction, well, you know what? It's something that can be treated. I mean, it's caused by many different underlying conditions, and if you don't know what is causing that, then Heartland Men's Health is here to help. Maybe you've tried the pills or the herbals and they have failed or they've never worked. Heartland Men's Health has treatments with success rates well over 90%. And that's the difference between Heartland Men's Health and some of those just generic, hey, this helps most men, because your problem may not be specifically most men. They will treat whatever that underlying issue is for you, specific and a detailed, unique plan for you. Heartland Men's Health, successfully treating men in the Kansas City area. Simply schedule a consult with Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit, it's only $99, and that includes a medical consult with a licensed medical provider, a T, and that PSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit, it's free. If it does, there you go. They have an expert staff with 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence, between Blue Springs and Lee Summit, and North Kansas City. Call them today at 844-447-6600. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, 844-447-6600, or visit heartlandmenshealth.com. We will talk with Matt Lane coming up at 11 o'clock. Next segment. How about that? We'll talk with Matt Lane in our next segment. Other things that we'll get into today. Dude, we had Coach Horner on last week. JCCC head coach, as they were getting ready to head to the Junior College World Series. 4th year in a row, previous 3 years, they'd had gone 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And what he said was, the lesson we learned and we got together the offseason was, you have to hit. And this JCCC team wins 19-1 last night. They are bludgeoning teams. It's the new Gorilla Ball, and it is a blast, pun intended, to watch.
Matt Lane of KCSN is brought to you by Dick Ray Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Are you planning to spend money on a new AC or furnace repair this year? Dick Ray can help. Show us a 2025 HVAC repair invoice from any company, and we'll credit that amount towards a new system up to $2,500. Call 913-DICK-RAY or go to dickray.com for details.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, heading up until 2 o'clock. We will hear from the Chiefs coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Andy Reid, and we are told offensive players. We think Patrick Mahomes will be one of those offensive players. Defensive players will talk at 2:30. That'll be during the program today when we are done. In about 15 minutes from now, actually 15 minutes from now, because 11:20 start. 15 minutes from now, the Chiefs will be out there with the final day of these voluntary OTAs and media out there giving their observations. Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We talk to the boys from KC Sports Network on Thursdays. And Matt, your turn here in the hot seat. I don't know what that means, but at least in the show. What's up, man? How you doing?
Let's go. I'm ready for the hot seat. It's 90s out here today.
Oh.
It's sunshine. We've had a week full of rain, so it's real humid. It's real hot. So let's get the hot seat going.
Can I exchange that for tomorrow's weather forecast here in KC? Because my daughter has her birthday pool party tomorrow night, and it's outside. So there is a chance of rain throughout the most of the day and cloudy. So can I exchange the little rain with 90 degrees just from like 4 o'clock tomorrow until like 8 o'clock? Can I do that?
Yeah, you know
Great.
what? We'll
Thank
put
you.
it in. We'll put in the order. Now we just got to hope that it doesn't get vetoed after we agree to the terms of the trade.
It's a good point. Yeah, yes. If Max Crosby shows up and he's a little rainier than we expected, then I'm gonna say no, thank you on that particular deal. I'm not giving up 3 days of sunshine for this 4 days of maybe, or 4 hours of maybe rain. Matt Lane is our guest. There's more sunshine around the OTAs watching Patrick Mahomes throw the football. Matt, what does Matt Lane view when a video comes out of Mahomes throwing the football at OTAs? Is this it's sort of expected? We knew he was going to do that. We knew he was going to take some snaps and throw the football. Are you hyper-analyzing what the knee looks like and how much range of motion there is and how much pressure he's putting on that? How do you view a video of Mahomes dropping back and slow motion throwing?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because you don't want to dampen any excitement that you should, as a Chiefs fan, have for, hey, Patrick Mahomes, who is returning from this ACL injury, is very clearly on track, if not ahead of track, of where he would expect to be. We would expect him to be. He is able to go out there and participate limitedly in these OTAs. He is able to drop back from under center and throw a football, which is all great. It's also still just OTAs at this point in time, right? And there's no contact. It's not a full live of anything. So I don't think it gleams anything beyond the fact that he has told you, it's been very apparent, I think, from the get-go, that Mahomes was going to try to be ready for week one. Nobody has been shy about that, besides Andy Reid, of course, but nobody's been shy about that's been the goal here, and it seems like we are well on our way to that, which is definitely a good sign from our perspective as fans on the outside. I don't need to dig too deep into what's happening. I don't need to dig too deep in what he can or can't do as of this moment or what he expects to do. It's just nice to see him out there looking like he's ahead of what the average schedule would be for an NFL player returning from an ACL repair.
It'll be the question we ask throughout the offseason, or at least I will, as it gets closer and we get into training camp and some preseason games and things like that, and we get closer and closer to September 14th. It seems like it's so far away. Like September 14th, man, that's just so long away. It's just past Memorial Day right now. But with Patrick Mahomes and his style of play, and we know that he has been able to win from the pocket a lot in his career. It's a common misnomer of people that don't know ball, that think Mahomes is just a street baller. First read, he can't read the defense, and then he starts running around. So he's won from the pocket plenty of times. He won a Super Bowl with a bad ankle. Is Mahomes going to, I guess, 1 and 1A to this, of be more disciplined of, I've got to stay in the pocket, I've got to do these different things with my knee? That's one. And 1A would be, is Andy Reid willing to work around that and give the ball more often to Kenneth Walker or play off in play action with Kenneth Walker that first week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks of the season?
It's a tricky spot because I have a hard time believing it, no matter whatever the health level of Patrick Mahomes is right now, that Andy Reid is ready to really fully lean into the run game. The only times he's really done that was when they had Alex Smith and Jamal Charles, and it was a clear gap on who was the more important factor of that offense. But even still, there was so much read option game. There was so much utilizing Alex Smith's ability to run that he was still weaponizing the quarterback. So I say that just to say, like, I don't think Andy is going to lean into a full-on run-heavy approach. Now, will it be better than last year? Yeah, I would expect so. I don't mean to say that it's not going to be any different than it was previously. I just don't think they're going to come out and be this super heavy under center, run the ball, try to really get to all 3rd and 3s and just live with this play-action pass game or anything like that, even though that'd be more beneficial for early season Mahomes. I think they will just shoot to find some level of balance this upcoming season, especially to start. And like you said, Mahomes is really good playing from the pocket. People underestimate how good he is playing from the pocket just because there is so many highlight plays. But at the end of the day, it's not that he can't play from the pocket. It's, okay, drop back. Here's where I'm supposed to go. Here's the second place I'm supposed to go. If those two things are covered, it's probably not worth it for me to sit here and work to the other side of this read here, or wait for 3 or 4 when I can move, create new throwing angles, and then still play at this better than everybody else level. So I think you're going to see Mahomes stay in the pocket a little bit more because he can do it. He's good at it. They'll rely on the run game a little bit more often. But, I mean, number 15 is still going to be the engine of this offense, even from week 1.
Visiting with Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. So yesterday, Sterling and Michael and I, we discussed different players that we feel like could be off the radar or maybe are off the radar right now, that an impact is possible this year that would be unexpected. And the example I gave yesterday that would be someone from this time last year would be if you said, you know what, I think Tyquan Thornton, he's off the radar, signs an undrafted deal, a practice squad deal in the futures, and he might be somebody we're not thinking about in this wide receiver room because eventually it became everybody got to eat, and this time last year we didn't know suspension for Rice, and Hollywood was there, and Worthy year number 2, Rice was looking good in his rehab and looked like he was going to be fully recovered. And so it was all good. And Jalen Royals was drafted. And so Tyquan wasn't really thought much of. And he had an unexpected impact that was really good. Is there a player or a couple of players that maybe would match that criteria for you who are on the roster right now that maybe are under the radar, but you look at it and go, I think this person in the right situation could actually make an impact for this team that we're not thinking about right now?
The Chiefs are in a kind of odd spot where they're starting like this I don't want to say rebuild, but like this retooling process. And so they do have a lot of young guys that you're excited to watch, but that also means like those young guys I don't think quite count for this category because we're all excited to see, what an Emmett Johnson can do, what Cyrus Allen, Peter Woods, Mansour, like we're excited for all of those guys. None of those guys really count. No. You can't even dip back to last year for like a Noel Williams just to see or even Jaden Hicks I don't think quite counts for this just because he's been around, right? So they're in this odd spot where I don't know if they have these super open roster spots for guys that either A, we haven't seen already play multiple snaps for the Chiefs, or B, that aren't like rookies or really young players with some expectations. The best place I think I can go, and this maybe is even a little bit on the high end of this, but like kind of on the Tyquan Thornton range, everybody knows who he is. Now, this player at one point in time did have a very good career, which is why I think he goes here. But Kadir Kohu, the nickelback they signed out of Miami a couple seasons ago, was up there in conversations for one of the best 5 slot corners in the NFL. He was that good, but then he had a down year followed by an injured year where he didn't play much, and now I think he's been signed. I think it's kind of been glossed over to talk about, and not in a bad way, but glossed over for Alohi Gilman. Now you add Mansour Delane and Jaden Kennedy to this defense, and I think people are forgetting a little bit how good Kohu once was. So if we get to this regular season and Kohu returns back to that form of being a top 5, top 10 nickel corner in the NFL, I don't think that would be incredibly surprising. Or even if he's just a good, averagely good nickel corner, I think that's a big step up from what they had last year when McDuffie wasn't playing in the slot. And so I think he is someone flying under the radar, even though the ceiling for his play we've already seen is very high.
I love that one. I hadn't mentioned that yesterday, and it's funny because you go, well, I don't know that Jaden Hicks is really one that would count with this, and I totally understand. Jaden Hicks was my number one just because there was such a sophomore drop-off, and I'm wondering if, and I want to talk about Kohu here for a second, but and then maybe pick your brain on Jaden Hicks, but there was such a sophomore drop-off that I wonder, rookie year, it was, all right, Jaden, this is what we expect of you, this is what's going to be on your plate, and just go do this. And then last year it was, Justin Reed's gone. We need you to now pick up this, this, and this. And Spags and Dave Merritt were pretty disappointed in what they felt like wasn't his performance or development in being able to do that. And I wonder with Gilman and if Shamari Connor moves back to safety, if you've got a slot player that maybe Jaden Hicks can go back to maybe more of rookie Jaden Hicks and someone that we're not really discussing as, I feel like after last year people have sort of moved on from Jaden Hicks as somebody that can make an impact. But we can come back to that in a second. But the Kohu one, I love that one because he was one of the guys that I listed on my free agent once for this team because of the potential of him getting back to pre-injury. Kohu, they typically keep 5 cornerbacks on the team each year. So Mansour Delane, Noel Williams, Christian Fulton, and then Kennedy, I'm going to go ahead and guess that he's on the team, as a fourth rounder. That would give you 4, and then you'd have Kevin Knowles, Kohu, Kyer Elam. You've got a number of guys for that final spot, and I think that would be really interesting to see who would win that spot if they would go with a traditional outside guy or a guy that can play the slot or maybe outside as well, where Kohu would be slot specific. But I would love to see him be on this team because I think, Matt, it would mean that he earned the spot. It wasn't just, well, there's nobody else there, he's got to play. And if he does earn the spot on this team, then there's a decent chance he can go back to looking what he did roughly a couple of years ago, which would really free up whether that be Connor or Christian Roland Wallace to do different things.
And I think that's the tricky spot where you end up with him, right? And the Chiefs in general right now, I agree, obviously, Jaden Kennedy should very likely be considered 99% locked to make the roster, but does that mean he should be a 99% lock to be your starting nickel corner?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And it obviously shouldn't be Shamari Connor. I think Christian Roland Wallace has shown some promise in that role when he's been given it, but last year they opted to move him to a more traditional safety role predominantly as well. So it feels like that's kind of an open spot up for grabs. And no, I don't think that Kennedy or Kohu or whoever is just going to be given that job. Whoever performs the best is going to get it. But knowing Andy Reid and even Steve Spagnuolo, how they work, it does seem like veterans, even if they weren't on the team, are going to get the first crack. And so I think he is going to start off kind of in that role as your starting slot corner, unless they completely curveball us and Delane plays in the slot more than we think because they want to get Christian Fulton on the field. I got to leave that option open as well. I just think that we're quick to forget as fans in general how good Kohu was a few years back and just what he was able to do. And if you can even get remotely healthy and then put him in a system that has consistently weaponized a slot corner, whether it's as a run defender, a blitzer, what they can do in coverage, I just think that his both floor and ceiling as a player in that spot are so much higher than what we have seen from the non-Trent McDuffie snaps over the past few seasons that we as fans just haven't quite bought into, what if the Chiefs once again have one of those upper-tier slot corners while not having to move their best corner into that position to get it?
And maybe that then creates Alohi Gilman to be Justin Reed. Maybe Shamari Connor move into Brian Cook, and Jaden Hicks moves back into what he was rookie year. That could be like what Connor looked like his rookie year, where they just put him in positions to say, go play football. Put you on the line of scrimmage, go make a tackle. We'll put you over here, go read the outside screen, and allowed Connor just sort of to run free and be that guy to maybe Hicks could be that guy. What do you make of Jaden Hicks? Because he feels like a guy that this time last year there was so much excitement about him to take that next step forward, and it was like, Justin Reed is gone, you got Brian Cook, you got Connor, but Jaden Hicks is excitement about him moving into that role. Justin Reed at the American Century Championships in Lake Tahoe last year, we talked with him, and he was like, people don't understand how good Jaden Hicks is and don't understand what this guy is going to be able to do. And he never did that. So it feels like there was a quick sort of moving on from Jaden Hicks. What do you make and see with him? Was there too much on his plate? Were the glimpses that he showed his rookie year, we just then assumed there would be more of that and more consistent those glimpses his sophomore year? What kind of expectation should there be for Jaden Hicks going into year 3?
Let's work, I guess, backwards. From expectations, I just don't think we can have any. I mean, at this point in time, I don't mean that negatively, but some of what we saw last year was really unfortunate. It's not what you wanted to see from a second-year player. You would like to see some form, and progression is not linear, but you would like to see some form of progression in his game, and I don't think we really got that in any fashion. And so, your expectations this year is they bring in Gilman, they draft a DB on day 3 that has played Kennedy, that has played in the slot as well as played some reps as a safety. You have Roland Wallace coming back a little bit healthier. Chamari Connor's returning. They have enough bodies that I don't know if you have to entirely say, okay, Jaden Hicks it has to have a significant role no matter what here. I think it's kind of open for the best guys to get out there and get on the field for them in that position. So from that standpoint, can't expect a ton. I do think he will play, and it's just a matter of what version do we get. And I wonder if the loss of Justin Reed was a little bit bigger for him than it was for other guys, and not so much just from a leader standpoint. I think Brian Cook did a pretty good job organizing the secondary. There wasn't consistent, complete breakdowns across the board. There wasn't coverage busts left and right, but it did feel like Hicks was a little bit more lost last year than what he was as a rookie. It felt like he had more put on his plate, and he just never got his feet under him in that role. So when they're moving him from the box to deep to the slot and every different kind of personnel package rather than a select few, it felt like his mind was really racing, and he was making quite a few mental errors. He was a little late to react on some plays, and I do wonder if losing Justin Reed, who was the movable chess piece, and now putting that more onto Hicks's role. So now instead of playing just, when we go into nickel, you were in this spot. If you were out there on dime on these down distances, this is your spot. Moving him, giving him more versatility last year seemed to really set him back. So I wonder if you see a more limited scope in what he does again, kind of like a rookie, and try to see if he can once again improve at those very specific things rather than having him try to do a little bit of everything as part of this safety rotation.
Matt Lane is our guest, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. I want to talk about one of the guys that you did a film review on after the draft, and that is Cyrus Allen at the wide receiver spot, because wide receiver is a much bigger conversation now with Rashee Rice serving his 30 days in jail and the knee injury that he's going to have to recover from and rehab from, and what that may mean for his full health this year. But that wide receiver room was already relatively thin in maybe needing another body, and maybe two now. Jalen Royals last year was a guy that at least I had a lot of excitement for. Cyrus Allen is a guy that, we haven't seen somebody in a Chiefs uniform that just goes out there and wins with route running, and not necessarily a guy that gets into space or the Chiefs use for speed or overs or just, outrun this guy, that this guy can just run the route tree. What do you see from Cyrus Allen on film and what he did at Cincinnati, and what kind of role can he carve out for himself in this offense?
Cyrus Allen's different type of wide receiver than the Chiefs have been going after since, we can probably take this back all the way to 2018 range, right? He's just a different type of receiver, as in he's not a guy in college who was predominantly just a deep threat or a get the ball in his hands and let him run kind of player. And it's not that those players haven't worked out for the Chiefs. They obviously have gotten good play out of Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy has had his flashes. It's not like they have been bad ways to go about it. Just their approach has been a little bit more, give us really good or athletes that have a special trait, and then we will get them in positions to win as a wide receiver. And they've had some successes, but by and large, they have not been as successful as other teams doing that. And this year, they go a completely different way with Cyrus Allen, who's, I think, a better athlete on a football field than he is when he tested. Now, his broad jump was elite, and I think that explosion shows up on tape, but by and large, after that, he was a fine to good athlete. But when you watch him on the field, he is a route runner. He's much more of a technician. His game is about getting open through the use of his technique, how he tempos his routes, what he is able to do to get defensive backs off balance and get open. And that's just not the typical type of guys that the Chiefs have gone for at the receiver spot. So I like kind of casting a wider net in the wide receiver room, getting a different skill set in there. And then, as we've all been saying for half a decade now, if not more, the Chiefs struggle against man coverage. And as Travis Kelce's getting older, it's getting worse and worse. So you go out and get somebody that's not just a let me get the ball and then see what I can do, or let me just run by you, but rather get somebody that is more nuanced in how they get open. You give yourself a viable option, hopefully, to get open versus man coverage. So I like the approach to go after Cyrus Allen or that type of wide receiver to add to this team, because I feel like they've been missing it for years. And then just like when you watch him, good luck picking out, outside of the first couple guys off the board, those top 3 wide receivers, good luck picking out somebody that looks better as a route runner. Like, he is just one of the most technical route runners in the entire class. Did it predominantly out of the slot for Cincinnati, but that's not where he was playing before that at Louisiana Tech or even at Texas A&M before he got injured that year. And so you get somebody that has this kind of history of success as a route runner, playing outside or in the slot, getting open, creating space, catching the football, doing it against top 50 picks. Like Traden Stukes for Arizona last year went back and forth at Cincinnati with Cyrus Allen, and Cyrus Allen got the better of him multiple times, and that's a guy that every fan base wanted their team to draft. And so I think there's a little bit more of a ceiling there for him than what people thought going into the draft, and I just like the fit with the Chiefs given what the rest of that room looks like.
Last one for you. Was there a little bit of a once bitten, twice shy in the excitement about Jalen Royals last year and getting him in the 4th round, maybe a little bit later than people thought, and then Cyrus Allen this year maybe being that version of the excitement around Jalen Royals?
So I get it. I 100% get how people get there. I will say for me, Jalen Royals was much more of what I said, like the Chiefs type had been.
Yeah.
Get the ball in his hands, let him go, or he's in these super wide splits there in that very air raid offense where he's just trying to run by guys on the outside. And it doesn't mean he can't be good. Like, we'll see what his development looks like this year, but he was just a lot more of what they have already had in that same version. So I think it's a different type of excitement for me. I understand people having reservations about young wide receivers drafted on day 3 and what the Chiefs might do. I just want to say, I think Cyrus Allen's a completely different style of player, and I think that opens up the door for him to maybe get his foot in the rotation a little bit earlier, because he's not directly competing with Rashee Rice for yak targets. He's not directly competing with Thornton and Xavier Worthy for the outside go routes. He does something different than those guys. So it's a little bit easier pathway, I think, to carve out a role early on.
Yeah, I'm excited because when they drafted him, I'm like, look, man, this guy's just a route runner. I've wanted that for a while, and we'll see what it looks like for this Chiefs team. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Matt, enjoy the sun there, and we'll talk in a couple of weeks, brother.
Sounds good. Hope we get some fun OTA interviews coming up here.
100%. That would be great. There's Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. We'll hear from Andy Reid coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, and then the offensive players we'll hear from will be Patrick Mahomes and Trey Smith. And then during the program at about 2:30 or so, we'll hear from Drew Tranquil and also let me go pull up the thingy. It'll be Drew Tranquil and George Karlaftis, the newly restructured George Karlaftis. So we'll hear from them coming up in the program later on today. But Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Trey Smith will be right around 1 o'clock or a little bit after. OTAs go till 1 o'clock, and then it's after practice is when they'll talk. So sometime
Lebo, just go to them. Right when practice ends, just walk up to them.
Walk right up to it. It's like the game is over, so it's like a rush to get to with the cameras and guys rushing to get.
I was told at 1 o'clock when practice ends.
You said after practice. Now, I know you said podium, but I didn't see that part. I didn't see that. I brought my own podium.
In
fact, I'm going as a podium for Halloween, and so I'm walking up to you as a podium, and therefore you're at the podium, and now I can interview you.
Lebo, we've given you gold here, pal.
I mean, come on, man. Just go and... That's right. He will get to the bottom of it. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. Matt Lane brought up a really interesting name there. Love it. We'll still get into, coming up in the noon hour, Oklahoma City. They have a closeout opportunity against the Spurs tonight in San Antonio. They are the villains, becoming that, or already have become that in the NBA after winning a championship. And so I want to discuss if it's about the flopping, or are we that quickly tired of the new guys and we're looking for reasons to be tired of the new guys? And the Chiefs comparison is quite annoying, but it's to be expected for me to be annoyed by that particular comparison. We'll get into that. And then Milan Momcilovic is withdrawing from the NBA draft, returning to school. But which one? It won't be Iowa State, so it'll be a different school. We'll see where he ends up going. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got the Oklahoma City and San Antonio Game 6 tonight. right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. OKC leading the series 3-2. That means this is a Game 6 that is very...
Don't you dare.
Pivotal. It is a pivotal Game 6 tonight in San Antonio. You can hear it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Royals are off, so they can't lose. Not that they would have won today. They can't win either, but we knew that wasn't much of a possibility. They can't lose today, so that's good. They get ready for an extended 10-day road trip. Texas, Cincinnati, Minnesota, before returning home for the Kansas City Royals. So they will head out on the road where they have struggled. So that's good because they're struggling at home, so maybe they'll flip the script and head to Texas and start to play better baseball, or Cincinnati and play better baseball, or Minnesota and play better baseball. But the Royals are off today. Let's play this clip from Jeff Passan. He talked about yesterday, because the negotiations are going to be going on, and today Major League Baseball is presenting different parts of the CBA that they would like moving forward for the Players Association, and different details in what the maybe pitched battles will be in the negotiation. So let's hear from Jeff Passan. This is from yesterday afternoon on the CBA negotiations and sort of presentation and what they are going to pitch to the players today.
There was a whole suite of things that they came with, but at the end of the day, the really interesting part is going to come tomorrow, when for the first time in 30 years, Major League Baseball is going to propose a salary cap. And the details of that are going to be the interesting part. What's the revenue split going to be? Would it be 50-50? What's the top end going to be? What's the floor going to be? And more than that, what are they going to offer Major League players in exchange for this thing that they have vehemently opposed the entirety of the existence of the union? When you join the Major League Baseball Players Association, there are a few things that you are told. And the chief among them is, we do not have a salary cap, and we are never going to have a salary cap. That's something that they take pride in. That's something that is fundamental to their being. And so when Major League Baseball comes to them and says, we want a salary cap system, immediately you're going to see players tomorrow crying no. And they are going to continue on that, which is why all of those other details that are involved in the proposal from Major League Baseball, it's going to be interesting to see how players respond to that, because what MLB is hoping, what MLB is banking on, is that they're going to be able to give the players something that gets them off of that position. But you talk with player leaders, whether it's those on the executive subcommittee, you talk with veterans who have been in the game for a long time, even the guys who are making a lot of money, and they're saying, no, we like this system as is right now. And baseball has flourished, has gotten to the point where it is under this system. Why would we go and change things?
The last time, he said 30 years, the last time Major League Baseball proposed a salary cap was the strike.
Yeah, 94.
In 94. They are going to propose a salary cap to the players. And I'll just say this about the whole thing. As a Royals fan, I'm willing to sacrifice the rest of the season. If they have to get a salary cap, then I'm willing for them to strike. And this year, it would suck because I really feel like the Royals are right there. They're getting ready to turn it around. But I'm willing to sacrifice the rest of this year for maybe a restructure of the economics of the game. I'm willing to do that for the greater good. And I think I speak for all of the teams and fans of Major League Baseball. This is a year worth sacrificing, this specific one, if it means it's better for the game. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that and say, go ahead and go on strike, players, and let's sacrifice the rest of this year so that we can get a better economic model in Major League Baseball. That's how big of a person I am.
I do think...
Because the Royals are already doing that.
If you are...
The Royals are already going on strike.
The players... I get not wanting a salary cap because that could potentially lead you to making some less money.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker won't get $250 million to be a 700 OPS guy.
But there's only like 25 guys that really affects. I'm always surprised that those 25 guys can sway everyone else. Because if you think about it, the players are sitting here going, let's say you're, I don't know, Michael Massey.
Yeah.
Lane Thomas. The minimum is going to get increased from $780,000 to $1.5 million. It's eventually going to be $2.2 million as the minimum in 2031. If you are those guys,
it's a salary cap. Expedite that to where it becomes like this year or next year, where you're talking about what would be in 2031, what could be in 2027.
27 is $1.5 million, so it doubles.
So it doubles.
It doubles.
That's what the proposed salary cap from the.
If they do that, but the major league minimum goes up.
Yeah.
So like, if you are one of those young dudes, say you're Cags or Carter Jensen right now, right? That doubles your pay.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised at the top 25-ish guys, and I do get it because every single Major League Baseball player probably thinks they're going to sign these massive deals. They're signing the Juan Soto contract.
Mm-hmm.
They're signing the Shohei or the Kyle Tucker contract. But the reality is, you're probably not. 25 guys top sign those deals. Really. Those crazy ones that would hinder your salary cap. I never understand how those 25 people. I remember Max Scherzer, I think, was on this hard, the no salary cap.
Yes.
But he was also one of the highly paid guys.
Yes. Why would he want a salary cap?
And so I don't get how those guys, though, can sway the rest of Major League Baseball players into saying, hey, we don't want your minimum to go up, and we're going to keep taking the $45 million with no salary cap.
And the thing I do wonder is, are they swaying those guys? Or do those younger guys just not have a voice and they don't have a choice? They're part of MLBPA. They're part of the Players Association. The Players Association, union leader, and player reps on the team are placed in charge to represent those players. And if the representation of those players is, it doesn't matter what that dude thinks, we're not having a salary cap. Because I would guess, and I'd have to go back and look to see who the clubhouse lawyers are, but I would guess that for the most part, the representatives for the MLBPA for different teams, it's probably not a guy like Carter. It's probably not a guy like Michael Massey or Nick Lofton. You know, the quote-unquote 4A players that probably a little bit better this year, certainly Nick Lofton, the way that he played for a good portion of this season, maybe not as of late, but carving out a role for himself. Maybe a Lane Thomas because he's a veteran. But the younger guys, I'm going to guess that they aren't the ones representing the teams to go to these MLBPA meetings, because if they were, then they may have more of a voice. But you get there at these meetings and you're the Royals representative, and you go there and there's Verlander or Scherzer, and you're going, no, I think it'd be cool to have a salary cap. Shut up. Anyway, let the adults talk for a second, okay? The adults are discussing it here. You can have kiddie time in a little bit, okay? Go play in the kiddie pool, and when we say it's kids swim, you can come on over here and swim when the adults are done, okay? Just shut up. Like, you don't have enough sway. It would take a player that has a huge voice in baseball and makes a lot of money to say we should have a cap because it can be for the greater good, because it would also create a floor, because teams then would have to pay more and there would be a requirement of teams that would have to pay a certain level, and not what we saw with the Pirates last year or what we've seen in years past when teams maybe aren't specifically tanking, but they're just not spending money on players because they feel like, what's the point of spending money on players? We're just going to spend money on this player and we're going to win, 4 or 5 more games than we would have? Is that worth it? Or we don't have to spend that money and we still go out there and play baseball, and we might get lucky in a draft and get a Paul Skeens or something like that, and then we figure it out, or then we trade that person for more prospects, and we can put together a different run. But I don't think it would be a younger. I don't know that the younger players' voices aren't being heard here, and I don't think the older players care, because those older players are making more money, and if you've been in the league that long, you're making a crap ton of money.
Yeah, I also think it would just even out. Like, the proposed max, was it 300? I got to figure out where it was. I think it was 300, which only 2 teams are at. And then the floor is going to be 150.
Which, how many teams are below 150?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Like, I get it. Economics, and you're looking to the future, and how's this going to adjust and change, and you've never had a salary cap before, so the players are saying, well, why us, why now? But only 2 teams versus, what, 12, 13? Yeah. When you, all you're doing is making those teams have to pay more. You could fit Kyle Tucker. Sorry, you might not all be on the Dodgers.
Right.
But now Miami and Cleveland and Chicago, the White Sox, and Washington and the Athletics and Tampa, like, sorry, you can't all play for the Dodgers anymore. Some of you have to play for a different ball club.
But do they go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
I was going to argue you wouldn't see as many players wanting to go play with the Dodgers because everybody can pay the same amount if you structure your team correctly. There isn't a team out there that can give you $45 million a year when the Athletics and the Royals can't even touch that.
Well, and that's where it comes in. I was looking up, how does it make sense? You forfeit your revenue sharing if you don't make the 150 minimum floor, so you have to. But sounds like they're going to do a lot of incentivization for some of these smaller market teams to make it so. I was like, well, how is Tampa gonna? Because the Royals are at 146, they're like right at the 150, so
they'd have to spend $4 more million.
$4 more million.
They would give India $12 million. I joke.
And I was like, what does Tampa do? Right? If they don't have the revenue coming in, can they even afford, or is that a losing venture? Well, at that point, there looks like there's a whole bunch of incentivization for these small market teams. So that way, again, if you're Tampa, instead of them just folding because they wouldn't probably be fiscally, it wouldn't make sense.
Because if you're going to have a salary cap, you have to have some form of added revenue sharing than what you already have.
Correct.
So when you get in the luxury tax and you get into the threshold, then some of that then goes to the revenue sharing of some other teams. You get the draft pick with the competitive balance between the first round and the second round. So there are some other incentives to go to the smaller market teams. But it does sort of annoy me when we talk about quote unquote smaller market teams when we've included like the Houston Astros.
Chicago's the one that gets me every time. Chicago's top 5
Chicago
city.
White Sox. The Pittsburgh Pirates. It's a small market team. Is it?
Miami, really. If you think about it, Miami's not really a small market.
Like these things that are viewed as small market teams when it's not. All you're saying is just smaller revenue teams, not small market teams.
Like Tampa, I get. Kansas City, I get. Milwaukee, to an extent, I get. St. Louis, to an extent, I get.
Yeah.
The Athletics, where they have no home before they go to Las Vegas, I get.
Yeah.
Cleveland, I get. I'll never get the White Sox or the Cubs. I'll never understand that. I don't really get Colorado. It's Denver. I mean,
yes, exactly.
You're maybe the
Good
same
point.
size as Kansas City, but still, it's not like a tiny
You get
market.
30,000 fans a night.
Yeah,
even for a crappy team.
Yeah, I've always been surprised at some of the teams that have spent where they have spent. The Cubs have been better, obviously, in recent years, but they were not paying for smart decision, by the way, but they couldn't afford to pay. Was it Jake Arrieta and then Anthony Rizzo and Kyle Schwarber and Javi Baez and Chris Bryant
and Kyle Tucker.
Now, a lot of those they got right.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was like the Royals not paying Hosmer. Kind of sucks, but then you look back and go, maybe they got it right by not paying that. I like the floor.
They didn't get it right with Bellinger.
They didn't get it right with Bellinger.
And not paying him because he's been really good with the Yankees.
But I guess for me, I'm always surprised, and you're right, maybe it doesn't work like that. I always assumed it was like a voting, like you vote yes or vote no for the players. That's how it should be. So that way all the players can get a voice.
Yeah. An anonymous voting, and that may be the case, honestly. We just always hear about, like, the team representatives, and we hear from the bigger names because I don't think anybody's going to go, all right, let's go live to Cedric Mullins talking about the CBA. And maybe that's a bigger name, too. Who was the Royal player that we were talking about yesterday when we were discussing Bailey Falter and...
Brandon Maurer.
No. We were talking about Bailey Falter being a reliever and having to play...
Mason Black.
No. You were talking about a previous Royal. Like, this guy had to do it. When he did it a couple of years ago. Ryan
Yarbrough.
Yarbrough, thank you. He was a player representative, right? Yeah. Let's go out live. Ryan Yarbrough is talking about the CBA right now. Versus... we go out live and we hear from Max Scherzer, right? We hear from Paul Skeens, is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's hear from Paul Skeens. Okay, well, is Paul Skeens going to fight for the little guy, or is Paul Skeens going to fight for his $400 million guaranteed that he's going to get in a couple of years, and is already $8 million that he got for signing bonus anyway? He ain't starving. All right, he can pick up the check everywhere he goes, and he's still making his major league salary right now, which is a really nice salary. It's only $750,000 to play baseball while getting $8 million as a bonus baby, and then going to make hundreds of millions of dollars guaranteed. Is Paul Skeens the guy that's going to speak for Vinny Pasquantino, a 12th round pick that didn't get a signing bonus, that came up and spent a number of years in the minors and the bus leagues and then not making much money and then coming up making league minimum, and now he gets a $10 million contract over 2 years? What if that's $15 million over 2 years or $16 million over 2 years for Vinny? That extra $6 million is life-changing for him, $3 million per year over the next 2 years as opposed to 10. But Paul Skeens already has his 8. Like, Paul Skeens got a bigger signing bonus than what Vinny Pasquantino has made in his career and will make even with, or close to what he'll make even with this contract he signed with the 2-year deal to avoid arbitration next year. That's what Paul Skeens is dealing with when he's representing the Pittsburgh Pirates that don't spend money.
Well, and there's the thing. If you're Pittsburgh and you're a Pittsburgh fan, and by the way, Paul Skeens would still fit. Because you have to spend $150.
Yeah.
They're at $104.
Right.
And you could give Paul Skeens $46 million a year.
And maybe Paul Skeens is fighting for a floor.
It's
and
just
saying, look,
it's hypothetical.
I've experienced this. The Pirates ain't spending money. And I'm on this team. We have because I'm drafted, I go through the minors, and then I got to spend 6 years of my career with this team. I don't get a choice unless they trade me. I don't get a choice. I got to spend 6 years of my career, and it might be almost 7 depending on the manipulation.
Sure.
And I know you've got the player the draft pick for the prospect, that if you come up top 100 prospect consensus and you start the season, they've got that draft pick. Bobby Witt got it for the Royals. Got to be top 3 MVP or win Rookie of the Year that year. So
PPI or something.
Yeah, PPI. So you get some incentive there. Understandable. But you can still, if you don't think that guy's going to win Rookie of the Year or be an MVP candidate in the next 3 years to finish top 3, holding him back 2 or 3 weeks, you get 6 years and 80% of another season. Essentially 7 years control for a team that doesn't spend money. So I've got to be there 6 years for this team that doesn't really want to compete.
Well, what's crazy is, too...
So if I'm Paul Skeens, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I'd want them to have to force... What's the Pirates' payroll this year? Sorry, I know you had it. 104. I want $45 million more on the payroll this year. Look what the Pirates are doing this year. Now add $45 million in players. How much would that affect Paul Skeens in his enjoyment of playing baseball for the next 2 or 3 years with the Pirates until they trade him?
Yeah. What's crazy is, of the bottom 8 payrolls, 6 are over 500. God. And that's probably going to be the pushback of...
Yep. And it's good. And the pushback is going to be, look at all the different World Series winners.
Yeah.
And these different World Series winners means that Major League Baseball's economic model is right. The difference is equal chance or equal results doesn't mean you were given an equal chance. So a larger number of champions doesn't mean that the entire league had the same shot and starting point as everybody else.
What's crazy is the AL Central, including the Royals, because the Royals are close. It's kind of unfair to throw them in there, but they're $4 million under, $3.3 million under the 150. What the floor would be. Mm-hmm. The AL Central would be heavily benefacted by this.
Benefited?
Well, yeah, I guess benefited because the amount of Cleveland's at $80 million. Imagine if you gave Cleveland, made them spend $70 more million. They just give it to Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
Like the White Sox are at 90. Minnesota's at 105. Like the AL Central might become a bear.
Yeah.
Because those are teams that have done fine with way less. Detroit's the only one in the top 10. And they're 10th in payroll.
Yeah, the going back to 2014, the winners of the World Series, 11 of the 12 winners of the World Series have been top 10 markets. Going back to 2014, any guess as to which team wasn't a top 10 media market? Going back to 2014, winning the World Series?
The Royals.
Right here. The only one. Top 10 last 12 World Series winners versus 6 of the 12 have been top 10 markets in football. Only 3 have been top 5 markets. 13 of the 24 Super Bowl teams were top 10 markets in football. Half. And you have Seattle 14, Denver 18, Carolina 24, Chiefs 31, Chiefs 31, Cincinnati 34, Chiefs 31, Chiefs 31, Chiefs 31, Seattle 14, Tampa Bay 13. That's not happening in Major League Baseball. You could talk about the different winners, but the different winners are Dodgers and Yankees and Dodgers and Houston and Atlanta,
San Francisco, Chicago, the Cubs.
We're talking about
Boston.
We're talking about Oklahoma City competing for a championship in basketball.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City. That's only possible because of the way that leagues allocate their funds. There's a competitive balance in football and basketball, and it's apparently crazy to suggest that for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, the World Series winners media market size. San Francisco 6, 14. 2015, Royals 31. Cubs 3, Astros 10, Red Sox 7, Nationals 9, Dodgers 2, Braves 8, Astros 10, Rangers 5, Dodgers 2, Dodgers 2. Okay, cool. You're like, well, look, the Dodgers won, the Rangers won, the Astros, the Braves, the Red Sox, the Nationals, the Cubs, the Royals, the Giants. Look at all of these different World Series winners as compared to the NFL. Right, but what's the NFL doing? Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Do you have one or not? You can build around, you can have one and not win. But if you have one and you build around it, you're probably going to dominate for a number of years. So it makes it less of a larger number, right? A less quantity. The quantity is a little bit less than what you're seeing in Major League Baseball when you've got a 26-man roster and one guy doesn't have the impact of a quarterback in Major League Baseball. But look at all these different winners. Yes, from top 10 media markets, which means top 10 TV broadcast rights deals, as opposed to the others that aren't putting the 26-man roster together and winning. It's a false comparative of the NFL and Major League Baseball based on the different number of winners every single year. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, Jason Anderson here with Kalshi, the largest prediction market. It is the first federally regulated financial exchange dedicated to trading on the outcome of future events. And the world's biggest soccer tournament has arrived, and you can trade the entire tournament on Kalshi. You can trade every match from the opening stage all the way to the final. And right now, in less than a month, Argentina playing right here in Kansas City. They are trading at almost 10%, a little less than 10%, meaning a $100 trade can pay out over $1,000 if Argentina were to win. Maybe you want to go with Spain, that's trading at 17%, France at 16%, Portugal 9%. I think there's some decent value in that one as well. And one of the cool parts that I think is about Kalshi is that as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position with that. All right, I put my money on Argentina at 10%. All of a sudden something happens, they're up to 17%, I can cash out. I can go and look at a different market. You know what I mean? I can take that peer-to-peer, trade out of my particular position, not even cash out, but just trade out of my particular position on that. And markets for everything from sports to pop culture to politics, you name it, you can trade on anything. Just go and check it out. It's KALSHI, and you're trading against peers in a live market. There's no house. As the probability changes, you can buy in and out of that position. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app. Use code JASON810, JASON810, to get $10 when you trade 10. It's Kalshi, 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 trade on anything.
18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy. I hope that, whatever the negotiations end up being, and obviously if we're talking about a hard floor, a hard cap, with whatever the CBA ends up turning out to be, that would be fine. But if Major League Baseball's Players Association proposal goes through, then even that proposal increases the revenue sharing of the TV network deals, where that proposal includes the first $50 million of every team's broadcast rights deals goes to revenue sharing, and then 2/3 of every dollar after that goes into revenue sharing for the team. It would also lower the revenue sharing from gate fees and different attendance and concessions that are revenue, so that they would incentivize, if you're doing well, you can then keep more of your money that you're generating at your stadium, rather than we're going to revenue share that and less of the broadcast rights, which should be more universal with the collective bargaining agreement. And if you are doing well at your stadium, you should be able to keep more of that, which can increase team revenue, as opposed to your team revenue being so deflated because of your broadcast rights that it's not being made up for by gate fees. And because your revenue is deflated, odds are the gate fees aren't going to help anyway. Whereas the reverse, if we increase the revenue sharing on the broadcast rights, you will then be able to keep, when fans show up, more of that money. I like that part of it, and like the part that has more of a, they will create a tax if you don't get to a certain number at the floor with the players' proposal, that if you don't get to like 150, then you will be taxed. Just as when you go over a certain threshold, you're taxed. Problem is they're going to lower that upper echelon tax threshold, and the minimum isn't going to be nearly enough to counter what the top is, to where this year alone, if the Players Association proposal was intact, the Dodgers would have $70 million more than what they have right now. They would be able to save $70 million in tax threshold, what they would be giving back to the league in that.
What do you think is more important for Major League Baseball? Is it a floor or is it a ceiling? Is it a cap or a floor?
For the players, I think it's a floor.
I think it's a floor either way.
I think it's a cap, because I think you need both. But to me, like a hard cap has to include the revenue sharing, but a hard cap also would mean that, okay, if you can only get to this level, and you've got Ohtani, and you've got Mookie, and you've got Freeman, you've got all these players, we can't fit Tucker in the cap. So now he becomes available to somebody else that may say, all right, we're willing to do that. We're willing to make this investment in this particular player, because he's not going to be $250 million. Well, he might have been if everybody had.
They would have to
spending.
grandfather him in. There's no way to. I mean, you want to talk about a lawsuit if they go back.
No, I'm not saying go back. I'm giving an example of this offseason. An example would be Kyle Tucker getting that amount of money from the Dodgers, whereas, and you can't have this whole deferred payment thing.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
That's got to go away.
The deferred payment, because right now the Dodgers are actually $34 million under the Mets, because the Dodgers have the $1 million for Shohei.
Yeah, the deferred payment BS, and what Kyle Tucker's making like $4 million this year technically. Yeah. No, I think he's making like 33. Then next year it's like 4 or something. It's something absurd. There's one year where it's like, really, that's all he's making in a base salary that year.
They're doing what the NFL does with signing bonuses.
Yeah. Only it's fully, I mean, it's supposed to be the fully guaranteed, but then you've got certain ways that you can structure the contract. But still, a guy like Kyle Tucker may have been more readily available without the deferred payment strategy that the Dodgers have been able to implement and get around whatever sort of technicality or the fine print that could be included in the CBA, where if they are out of the bidding market, well, then it opens up for somebody else. Maybe it just opens up for the Mets. Okay, whatever. But that's somebody that's then on the Mets. So maybe that opens up somebody that the Mets went and signed. So then that trickle-down effect to where, okay, well, now this guy's available, and instead of being out of their price range, now the Royals are in the price range of somebody that might have been $7 or $8 million more than what they were willing to spend. Well, other teams have found better players at lesser points so they could afford those guys, and then this guy is available to the Royals.
The Mets are sitting here going, we can't win even with the
I know.
highest payroll
Right.
in baseball. Now we have to have a cap on
We gotta
this?
take more. Now we got to make better decisions without just writing a blank check. This is stupid. Come on. I mean, we got to be able to win here. We don't want a balanced market. The Giants and Jets suck. Do we really want to be the Giants and Jets and actually have to make good strategic decisions on winning? We can just pay for whoever we want. The Giants can't do that. The Jets can't do that. They suck. They have to follow the same rules as everybody else? That's ridiculous. We're New York. We're in New York. We shouldn't have to follow the same rules as St. Louis and Kansas City. We're playing different sports. Those Royals and Cardinals, they're a group of 5 teams. We're the SEC. We should be able to split away. You know what? Let's make it the 10 top media markets. We split away and play our own baseball.
New York, we just spend more.
That's why
It just spends more.
a salary cap would be so beneficial for the sport because it makes everybody's dollars the same.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers and the Mets.
Well, no, because you'll still see it'll just be less so of a disparity because if you can still go to 300, it's only stopping really 2 teams.
But I would push back saying that
it helps
40
12
million
teams. There's still a $150 million gap.
If the Royals signed, Santander, who has done nothing up until this point, that would crumble them financially. If the Dodgers did it, it wouldn't. But if they instituted a salary cap, if you're out, what did he sign for? Was it 3 years, 100?
Whatever it was, yeah.
It was a crazy contract.
Hunter Dozier nearly sunk the Royals.
Hunter Dozier doesn't
that contract.
Hunter Dozier is literally water out of a barrel for the Dodgers. The dollars would be more similar because, maybe the Dodgers will spend 300, but if the Royals are spending 150 to 170, then one bad contract for the Dodgers right now does them literally nothing. They don't care. One bad contract for the Royals, it's very different. If the Dodgers are spending less money and one bad contract, it's going to have more of an impact than it currently does, making it more balanced.
It becomes more balanced. Does it become balanced? I don't know. It becomes more balanced, though, because in the NFL, you also have a certain number of years where you have to reach a floor threshold of the percentage of the salary cap. And if you don't do that, you get into a situation this year where we're talking about some of the teams that have to spend extra money. The Rams were one of the teams that had to spend like $50 million more. Okay, great. Let's go get Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. We got to spend the money anyway because we're required to based on the CBA and the salary cap. So it allows them to go and get more players, but they also weren't spending money to the level percentage the last few years. So then they are required to then spend that money. I mean, it was L.A. A team in L.A. wasn't spending to the degree that other teams were, that they are now required to spend more money in L.A., as opposed to what the Dodgers are able to do and what the different media markets are able to do. Like, there's no... A team in Oklahoma City or a team in Kansas City is not competing with the teams in the bigger cities if it has this particular wide range of spending. It's not an excuse to then suck. This CBA proposal is not an excuse for, well, okay, so now the Royals are 12 games under 500 and it's because of the salary cap. I don't know if anybody's saying that, but that's not just in case somebody is drawing that conclusion. That's clearly not the case here because the Royals could make better decisions. They went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. But we're talking about in the future, looking to what the health of the sport can be. I actually think either of the proposals would be better than what it is right now because the players' proposal at least offers more revenue sharing from the bigger clubs and the massive television market deals that they have, television broadcast deals for their market that they have versus what the Royals have. I mean, the Royals won't meet the first $50 million of your broadcast rights deal. They won't get past that because they're not making $50 million per year in their television broadcast rights. They're not making that. Other teams are, and they're making a lot more.
Yeah.
So all of the Royals and then other teams' first $50 million will go into that revenue sharing. I don't know what then the league is presenting today with the hard floor and a hard cap, hard ceiling, hard floor. If that's the case, there has to be some structure of added revenue sharing there because you can't create a hard floor and say teams are going to be required to spend this, but go get it on your own.
That was my point. Because Cleveland or Tampa or Miami, there's just no – those teams would fold because fiscally you'd be negative.
Yeah.
Negative cash flow.
Yeah, you'd have to continue selling off pieces of your team to like Kelsey or something, to be able to generate, to be able to liquefy so you can go out and buy some players. I mean, Kelsey's out there just buying players, man. That's what he's doing. He's out there just buying players. You imagine Taylor Swift at Guardians games moving forward? God, I hope they don't show her on TV. I'm just trying to watch baseball. That's all. I don't need to be bombarded with all these, quote-unquote celebrities. God, it's so stupid. Did you see Chalamet at the game? Oh, my God, that was so cool. So cool. And he was just talking crap to some of the Cubs fans. It was so funny. They kept showing him, and he was, like, smiling and making gestures. It was so cool. But, God, I am so annoyed at Taylor Swift being shown on TV. It's just so stupid. Ben Stiller, though. That was really cool, though. They showed, I don't know if you guys saw this.
He's a small guy, huh?
Isn't he, though?
Dude.
Chalamet or Ben?
Ben.
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
Dude, when Ben Stiller was walking, I was like, did he shrink? Is he 5'4"?
It was so cool. Spike Lee, after the sweep on the floor, like hugging the players and stuff and talking to them and things like that. That was and showing like his different ring necklaces. That was so cool that they were able to do that. But good God, do we really need to see Taylor Swift on the sideline of the Cavs game? Come on. 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's crazy.
That they show her in games? Oh.
I don't care about that.
You're the one.
That
really annoys me. Ugh, grinds my gears.
Everyone must have saw those.
Trying to watch my football.
Those videos of Ben Stiller because the first thing I typed in with Ben Stiller is Ben Stiller height. So I must not have been the first one to be like, wow, he looked really short there.
No, you were talking about him, and AI heard you. Therefore, it was
only logical.
Filling in based on what you
reason.
Nobody else has looked that up. Nobody else has searched for Ben Stiller's height. Who cares?
I still can't believe it. It'd be crazy if it's OKC versus the Knicks because that really is almost going back and harkens to the Eastern Conference Finals of Knicks Pacers, right?
Yeah.
Hicks versus Knicks. This is a little different, but
get the Utah Jazz in a finals. When the Bulls and Knicks are playing each other, and the Pacers have an opportunity, and the Jazz are there. It's like, oh man, everybody's got a shot technically in this particular one. But it is, what I want to talk about on the other side of the break: the villains of the NBA becoming Oklahoma City, which potentially creates a rooting scenario that we've seen in one other sport rooting scenario that has a clear local connection. Different reasons, but maybe some that are crossover reasons as to why villains become villains, and somehow our rooting interest may be aligned in the NBA Finals comparing to what we've seen in a different sport with a local connection. We'll talk about that next.
this is your reminder to check in daily with friends, with family, but also with FanDuel. Come on now, because every day during the NBA playoffs, FanDuel is serving up a happy hour. We're not taking shots. Oh, wait, we are, but not the liquid kind. We're taking your shot because you have a chance to do something special on FanDuel. We're talking special drops you don't want to miss. From profit boosts to bonus bets and more, it's all in one phenomenal, easy-to-use app. So check for a new reward every single day of the NBA playoffs and don't miss your shot to get a little extra out of the action. Again, tonight, Thunder and Spurs. This game heads back to San Antonio. Hey, Chuck, what's in San Antonio? A W is going to be happening in San Antonio for the Spurs. I think this game gets sent to Game 7. Give me the Spurs. I like them to cover the 3.5. Maybe you agree. Maybe you disagree. Fade, follow. The choice is up to you, and the choice is on FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com/local to get started.
21 plus and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We'll hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from Trey Smith.
I was laughing really hard, though, in that break. I was telling the fellas I'm going to Billy Currington tonight. A little hot country nights action, heading down to P&L. And they're like, I'm like, you guys know Billy Currington, right? And they're like, no. I'm like, you know.
Never heard of him.
And I go, pretty good at drinking beer. And Michael is like, did you say the song's just pretty good at drinking beer? I'm like, yeah.
And he sang that just like that. He sang the actual tune, which is weird that he would say, did you say that? And then he came up with the specific tune that it is sung to.
What are his albums called? Is this going to be the most
pretty good at singing country?
Stereotypical country.
Pretty good at singing country. And the first release is pretty good at drinking beer. Pretty good at riding horses.
Doing something right. I just heard her sigh.
Pretty good at driving trucks.
Billy Currington, doing something right. A little bit of everything.
Pretty
Enjoy
good
yourself.
at a little bit of everything.
I love Billy Currington. You guys are wrong.
I'm not wrong. I just don't know him.
Learn ball, dude.
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just...
God is great. Beer is good. People are crazy. That's another one of the songs.
You just made that up.
No.
You just made that up,
That's
Michael.
a real line.
Michael, he just made that up.
Song.
God is great, beer is good.
And people are crazy.
He
People are
typed
crazy.
that into the AI to say, Chat GPT, Claude, whatever, write me a country song.
Y'all don't know ball.
God is great, beer is good, people are crazy.
I mean, what's wrong with that? I love it.
Not saying anything's wrong with it. All of it
What
might be
about
good.
good directions?
I'm pretty good at directions.
I was sitting there selling turnips on a flatbed truck,
As
crunching
one
on a
does.
pork rind when she pulled up.
As one does.
I mean,
He rhymed truck and up and included pork rinds
And turnip.
and turnips.
good for you. You think
Good
that's
night.
AI? You can't. Come
It's
on.
not AI. I'm
Can't
just saying
AI
it.
that.
I'm saying it's brilliant, is what it is.
You
I mean,
guys.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, they rhymed Charles and y'all. So, try to do that.
I mean, I do.
Pretty good at rhyming different words is what he is, apparently.
A lot. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of drinking beer in his songs, but there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just a
Nobody's-
simple
who's
man.
Saying.
Call me
No, that's a
Leonard
different-
Skinner.
so
I'm a
that's
simple
different-
man.
Pretty good at being a simple man. That was one of his other releases.
Yeah. With beer.
I think he should name every single song should be about what he's pretty good at. Pretty good at driving my truck,
But not great. He's not like.
not great.
He's not like.
Insurance
I've always had
keeps
this thought.
calling up.
Hear me out, real quick. We're gonna talk NBA, but real quick. Have you ever thought that you're like top 10 at something? Like everyone has to be top 10
Every
at
day of my
something
life.
in the world.
Every day of my
But,
life.
like, what skill is it?
It's got to be something super
Super
obscure.
random.
Maybe it's like backing into a parking spot.
Yes.
Or
You're not
I
top
was
10
gonna
at
say
that. You're not.
folding laundry or doing laundry.
Yeah, but
don't know if you'd be
like-
top 10 in
No,
that.
you would rank way near the bottom, Sterling. One of the worst laundry.
Yeah,
It could
broke
be
my
something-
ankle. But see, I'm not.
Ever.
I'm bottom 10 in laundry.
Something
Yes.
obscure like flipping a coin or
Right? Yes.
you turn on a something very obscure and like
Yes.
you ever do something very
Paper
Yeah.
towel cutter. Like you always get on the first try.
or nobody can fold this
I'm
piece
good
of
at
paper
I'm good
like I
at
can.
the snap and the pop.
You and me both might be top 10.
But you got to make a song with it, you know.
Oh yeah, pretty good at snapping my hands.
Pretty good at snapping my hands.
Pretty good at snapping hands and a pop with the wrist.
Like think about it though. Everyone's
good.
probably top 10 at something. We just don't know what it is yet.
Like there's a number one fan. There is a number
There
one fan.
is a number one fan.
I think I'm top 10 as a host on 810 between 10 to 2 Monday through Friday. I think I do finish in the top 10 of that.
I'll give you top 10.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So there's literally something I am top 10 in the world at.
Oklahoma City.
Top 10 in basketball.
SGA.
Top 10 in MVP voting. In fact, some would say number 1.
He's the best at it.
He's
Although
the
there
best
were-
of something.
Although there were 17 people that did not vote for SGA, including the Sacramento Bees' Jason Anderson. And boy, did I hear it from people that were mad that I did not vote for SGA.
Well, here's the thing.
So I just replied and told him I voted for Mahomes.
It's unethical.
How did you not vote for SGA, you idiot? I voted for Mahomes. Sorry.
He plays an unethical brand of ball.
Does he?
It's so unenjoyable, which is so bad because I want to root for OKC. I want to. They're the closest team to Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
I want to root for them. I was a fan of theirs for a couple years when was it last year and the year prior to that. We talked about them, and it just feels like the flopping has gone on so long, and it's not all his fault because part of it is if you can get away with it and do it and it helps you, well, yeah, you're probably going to do it, right? You're just taking advantage of a loophole, basically. But the fact was the NBA was going to come down on flopping for a couple of years. Remember that a couple of years ago? They had the whole thing. Yeah. You'll get a foul assessed, or you'll get fined. And all. What happened now? Like, I don't mind when he gets a guy off his feet and then he jumps into him and gets the free throws. That's always been a foul. Once you leave your feet, sorry, you're probably going to get that. That's been a Jason. You were a shooter. I'm sure you did that many, many times.
He said were. Let's go out and play right now. You see that? But don't use past tense with that, buddy. Top 10 in the world.
But when you
top 10
are
at the station, shooter.
Kicking your feet out into dudes, when it's just unethical. It's not fun. The fact the NBA has not come down and assessed either fines or at least a offensive foul when that was also part of their equation a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I'm mind blown by this. It's gotten so far to where that's become a story instead of what should be the main story of these are two phenomenal teams that won 62 plus games in the regular season. They both have great players, Wembanyama, Castle, SGA, Chet Holmes. And then you even have role players stepping up. You have Alex Caruso, McCain, who's doing TikToks and got traded off the Sixers because, of course, the Sixers couldn't use him.
Wouldn't this be a prime example of hate the player, or hate the game, not the player? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Kind of, and
you got it. You got there
eventually.
But you eventually backed the car in. You're top 10 at it.
To an extent, I'm with you.
Top 10 at that phrase.
And that's why I said I don't.
Top 10 at using. You're top 10 at messing up that phrase.
Number one.
Yes.
Never lost.
Never lost.
That's water under the fridge. Okay, so we got two birds stoned at once. But to me, and that's why I said along the lines of I don't necessarily blame him completely because the NBA should step in.
Well, is there a difference of? And this is where I do think there's some is all blended together versus things that are to what you're talking about that the NBA was going to get rid of. Adam Silver talked yesterday and said players have always embellished what are foul calls.
Oh, Reggie Miller was known for that.
More obvious that it was a foul call. I do think there is a difference between you have been fouled and you sort of flail and embellish it.
Correct.
They're called it was a foul anyway versus you weren't fouled and then you're flailing and looking at the ref like what the hell, dude, like my arm, and then it shows the replay. It was like nobody actually touched you, dude. I think there is a difference in that to where if you are flailing and trying to get a call when you weren't fouled, I do think that is let's go to the replay. All right, that's a flop. Being fouled and embellishing for effect so the ref, like a charge call. That's always been done. If you stand there and the guy runs into you and you just stand there like a brick wall and he falls back, they're not going to call anything.
It's a block, yeah.
Or it's a block.
They call a block, yeah.
If he runs into you and you fall backwards, boom, the other way. Charge. Offensive foul.
And I've said for a long time, I've always found that
that's a foul that is
ridiculous.
Being embellished for effect so the ref will see it and go, okay, yeah, he had legal guarding position and the guy bowled over him. Well, that little dude ain't bowling over that guy, even with legal guarding position. And especially if he hits you and you take a couple of steps back.
Yeah. God forbid you take a couple steps back.
Right. It's a fall. It still is a foul.
Yeah, same
it
thing.
Still would be a player control foul. It'd still be a charge. It's just not going to be called unless you fall backwards. So what SGA or the Oklahoma City Thunder in general, flopping versus embellishing, I think has been mixed together. And he was fouled and he is embellishing for the foul versus he wasn't even touched and he's flopping and flailing all over the place like a fish out of water trying to specifically get the call. And I know people were frustrated about the SGA step back, and who was it for the Spurs? Was it Keldon Johnson that went to close out, and SGA took the shot, and it looked like he sort of dodged him and went by the side. But honestly, dude, like, I know that people look at it with SGA. It reminds me of Mahomes, the Houston Texans, when Will Anderson hits Mahomes in the helmet.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
And they called a personal foul roughing the passer, and it's like, of course it's Mahomes. Like, I get it, but that is a foul, and it's like, of course it's SGA, and I understand the frustrations there, but he did close out his space to land. Like, that's a foul. He tried to dodge him, but he still landed where SGA's feet were coming down, and SGA didn't kick out his foot to be able to get the call. It was a correct call, but it was an SGA call, and it wasn't egregious. So it's like, good God, dude, they are doing are they going to call that call with anybody else? Maybe, maybe not, but it was the correct call.
And to me, it slows the game down. To me, no one. NBA is so much better than college, because college can get into these free throw brutal, where if you breathe on a guy, it's a foul. NBA, it is a little funny to me, and that's why I think there's a disconnect. If you're a big guy, you never get fouled.
Right?
You don't. You can get smacked, slapped,
could have had he could have had like 300 more free throws in a year.
Easy, but it's always been that way. Where if you're a big guy, you don't get the benefit, and that's why I do think there's something to why big guys have moved out and shot more threes. They're going, if I'm just getting hacked down low and they're not going to call it, well, I can't make that, so why not try and extend and
now
get a legit clean shot up?
If I'm driving to the rim as a big guy and I get hit, well, now they're going to call the foul as opposed to backing somebody down with a drop step and jumping up and getting hit and trying to lay it up. Well, no, those are just two big guys going at it in the post. We're going to allow that.
I do like. I like they don't call fouls. The NBA does normally a fairly good job at letting the dudes play, but for some reason, and this has been for history, if you are a superstar player, a lot of times you get a good whistle.
Well, in the yes, of course, Jordan got a good whistle. LeBron didn't. Ridiculous. I'm just John Stockton, great whistle. You know what I mean? But yes, you typically get a good whistle. But the comparison that I see with a couple of these complaints online, because I saw one yesterday and it said everybody's going to clown on Oklahoma City, yet we're just going to ignore this. And it was Patrick Mahomes being hit out of bounds and falling and saying, oh, we're just okay with the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes, but we're going to clown. And it's like, okay, so this is where, I have an issue, and I can't help myself with this, okay? It's a trigger moment for whatever reason. I'm not sure. And I'll talk to my therapist about it. We'll figure it out. We'll get to the bottom of it, damn it. You know what had happened because I was 6 years old and whatever somebody was flopping. I'm not really sure what it was, but with the Chiefs 2 years ago when they made the Super Bowl, the refs and good fortune was combined to being all about the refs. It started with the Chiefs got lucky because a toe was out of bounds on early. The tight end, right?
Likely.
Isaiah Likely. Late in that game. And that wasn't a ref thing. He was out of bounds. Oh, they're so lucky. They're so freaking lucky. Then you get a blocked field goal. So freaking lucky. A field goal that banks off the uprights. So freaking lucky. Then you get a call here or there. The Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, pass interference. How lucky. But ignoring the fact that it was 4th and 16 for a reason. They had converted the first down on 4th and 6, but it was illegal hands to the face. Oh, of course, there's a pass interference, but you ignore the illegal hands to the face.
And it was an obvious pass interference for some reason that we can't.
And it was an obvious illegal hands to the face.
And again, they also had one against the Falcons that should have been called. But since it wasn't, it was they get all the calls.
Yes. And last year against the Jags when they had the interception in the end zone to end the game, but it was pass interference in the end zone, which it was. The pass interference was called. The Chiefs lost the game. Nobody says anything about, well, they were trying to make sure that the Chiefs won like they did against the Detroit Lions, a week later? 2 weeks later, whenever that was against the Lions, they're trying to make sure they won. Why didn't they do that against the Jags there? But I think the same thing with Oklahoma City in that I do wonder with the embellishing versus flopping, if it's all sort of combined in they're just a flopping team when it's, for years, people have been taught to get to the free throw line. You know what? Go up hard, get fouled, get to the free throw line. Okay, well, you're getting to the free throw line in a certain way because you don't have the same sort of mannerisms with your arm the way that others do with their arms. And it's a little more difficult to play defense against with the pacing and the stopping and the starting, which makes him better than others and an MVP caliber / MVP player, just as Patrick Mahomes being pushed out of bounds by the Texans and flopping was not called.
Yeah.
But a hit to the helmet where a guy dives and spears Mahomes in the helmet against the Texans in that drive is viewed as, well, there's the Chiefs and the refs bailing the Chiefs out when that was an actual penalty. But the holding call earlier in the drive was ignored because it hurt the Chiefs and it didn't help them. And so that gets ignored. Whereas there may be some times where it's a foul. It's a foul. It's a foul. And it's like, well, this is dumb. It's a foul because two other possessions, the previous two possessions, there was also a foul. And it slows the game down like you're talking about, Sterling.
And I think for me with OKC, and I think this is where most people are at, the reason why the Chiefs won, and I think is a fair comparison with some of this, one, in the new age of sports, everyone hates dynasties. You get tired of them. I
can't believe that Oklahoma City is already tired of them.
Well, dynasty is stronger for OKC, but a really good stretch.
Yeah, but this quickly, people might be tired of Oklahoma City.
But no, when the Chiefs won their first one, they were loved. By their second one and the third, they were hated. OKC, people loved it the first one. You know why? OKC, can you believe it? Oklahoma City, they're doing it. And now they're already hated. When Tom Brady was first winning, it was, can you believe this sixth rounder is doing this with New England?
And then 4, this is unbelievable.
And then he was hated.
Mm-hmm. No. Tom Brady wasn't hated. People hate Mahomes. Tom Brady was loved.
It's almost that shift of the early 2000s, I think, when we saw it, because the thing about the Cowboys weren't really hated. Right?
Oh, I hated the Cowboys.
No, but like it wasn't the same. I think the majority, like I think more people rooted for the Cowboys than hated them.
I don't know.
Bulls, same thing. I think more people rooted for Michael and the Bulls.
I hated the Bulls too.
I did too, but I think the majority of folk, like now, I think you'd poll.
But we didn't have like social media back then, so I don't know that we could. I was rooting against the Cowboys every single Super Bowl, except for when they played the Bills, and then I was rooting against the Bills when they were in, just because I hated the Bills that they would beat the Chiefs.
But
in the playoffs.
I think to me the difference is, for some reason, and maybe it's because it's NFL and it's just fewer possessions, and a play here or there probably matters more realistically than a single one in a possession of an NBA game when there's hundreds of possessions, right?
Yeah.
But they used the refs against the Chiefs as the reason the Chiefs won.
Right.
I don't see many people saying the reason OKC is winning is because of flopping. I think people are sitting here going, SGA is awesome. The Thunder are incredible. They're a well-built team. They don't need to do it. They would win either way. It would just be more pleasurable to watch. It was almost like why Golden State was so fun to watch because of how they played, but the haters were Draymond. Was it Zaza Pachulia at one point when he took out Kawhi Leonard? And then when Durant joined, because then it was the super team and all that stuff. Yeah. But people didn't hate how they played the game. They just had some players they disliked.
But even they went from space and pace, this is awesome, shooting threes, new way, to becoming the hated.
Yeah.
They were loved while they were playing LeBron because he was hated. Then Durant joined it, and then it was like, well, now you're sweeping the other team, and this is kind of boring, and all you did was grab one of the best players in the NBA after you lost to one of the best players in the NBA after breaking the record in wins, and you blew a 3-1 lead, so you went and got Durant. Like, okay, now they become a villain. It's surprising, though, that Oklahoma City this quickly feels like they have become a villain in terms of how they play, because what it creates is the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Like, we just watched Patriots and Rams in the Super Bowl and whatever. But the Super Bowl 2 years ago, Chiefs and Eagles, versus the NBA Finals this year if Oklahoma City finishes out the game or in a couple days, the series tonight or in a couple days. Knicks, Thunder, the majority of the country, who are they rooting for? The Knicks. Unbelievably
crazy. Yeah.
The country was rooting for the freaking Philadelphia Eagles and Philly fans because they hated the Chiefs. They rooted for Philadelphia over Kansas City because Kansas City was the dynasty and Philly was the one that could slay Goliath and stop with this facade of the Chiefs are saved by the refs, and thank God finally we can see who the Chiefs really are, these frauds, and it can Scooby-Doo and take the mask off of Patrick Mahomes and show that he's really just Josh Allen and shouldn't be winning games. Regardless of that, or, Alex Smith, whatever, or Joe Burrow, who knows, or any other random quarterback. But that's where rivalries in sports make strange bedfellows, because in baseball, we ain't rooting for the Dodgers, the Yankees, the New York team, the LA team over a smaller team. We're rooting against them, the smaller team. Like, okay, come on, Seattle.
Yeah.
Find a way to win this, dude. Come on, Seattle. Find a way to take care of business and go to the World Series and beat the Dodgers or whatever.
I will be rooting for OKC over New York.
Oh, I will too. Yeah, I will too, because I don't need any of the. And New York has become a fun story because they've been bad.
It was almost
and
like
had
the
missed
Cubs
opportunities
for
so
a little
often.
bit, or maybe even the Red Sox before '04.
Yeah,
where you're a big market
but
team.
also it's the Red Sox and the curse, and they were beating the dynasty Yankees, so it helped that it was, oh my
That's
God, the
true.
Red Sox. Red Sox now, if they're taking care of the Rays in the ALCS, I don't think anybody's like, hell yeah, Red Sox took care of business.
Because Cubs, Cleveland,
Yeah.
but still the Cubs are still always a little different.
Honestly, I was rooting for the Cubs because of Ben Zobrist. Like, I became such a huge Zobrist fan in
Yeah.
2015. So then he was on the Cubs, and I'm like, this is amazing. This guy's winning another one. This is cool. The Cubs, we're seeing history. The Cubs broke the curse. Red Sox broke the curse. This is all
I
unbelievable.
love how baseball
We're
you
seeing-
have curses. What was it in the NBA? There's no real curse. Just
Crap.
We're just ass. I love in
Yes.
baseball. It goes back so far. Like they were cursed. The Babe Ruth curse.
Billy Goat curse, curse of the Bambino. Knicks were curse of the ass. They were just ass. They're cursed ass. They're ass cursed.
What are the Jets and the Browns? Ultra cursed?
But NFL, you don't say cursed. The only sport that says cursed, it feels like,
baseball.
is baseball. It's
Because
the most
baseball is the most
thing.
whimsical sport,
Well, because
It's very whimsical.
Right.
Good word.
Well, because you can go 100 years without winning one and be one of the premier organizations in that sport and not win.
It's hilarious.
It's got to be some reason as to why you could not do that, Cleveland's curse is because they signed guaranteed contract
Do you want the name?
for Deshaun Watson. Oh, I was slow
Yeah,
playing.
I was seeing. Is he having a stroke? Is he smell
Like,
toast?
I was slow
this
playing
a
it.
ask
Slow
the
playing it.
class?
Because they signed Deshaun Watson, and that's the curse. Now, you might be asking what happened before.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It's just a future curse. They knew what was going to happen. You knew you were going to do something stupid like that, so they cursed him beforehand, and then they did it, and now they've cursed him since. It's what they get. I don't feel bad for them. I think Kelsey should not have bought into the Guardians because of the Cleveland Browns paying Deshaun Watson. That's a choice I would not have made. Or the Cavs, It's Cavs haven't won. Have the Cavs won since the Browns signed Deshaun Watson? No, they haven't. Did they win before that? They did. They did, everybody. They did. More Zone next. All right, wrap it up this hour. We'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs whenever they get to the podium. It'll be Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Trey Smith. We'll be talking today as OTAs wrap up. Mandatory minicamp coming up in a few weeks. A couple weeks, actually. And then you got a break. Then you got training camp after that. So we'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs. I do want to get into, I'd mentioned this earlier in the hour, that Milan Momcilovic withdrew from the NBA draft, expected to make a decision this weekend to where he's going to go to school. It's down to Kentucky, Louisville, Arizona, and St. John's.
Mizzou?
Not in the mix. But neither is Kansas.
Yet.
Oh, yeah. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, the Kansas City Chiefs talking post-OTAs today. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Trey Smith, and here is Andy Reid.
Again, this is phase 3, just to reiterate. No, it's a voluntary camp. We've been lucky, though. We've had great success with people showing up, and everybody's been here somewhere along the line doing their thing, and that's a positive. So look forward to just keep getting better within the rules that we're given. There's no contact and so on, so you guys kind of know how that rolls. But you still get a lot of work done, and I like the way our guys are going about it, especially our young guys. They're great introduction for them as they get into this. As far as Rasheed goes, we're aware of the situation. The league's aware of it. We've talked to the league. We get it. And as far as any further ado to that, there's been no talk about anything further. We're moving forward just normal as we go here. When he gets back, we got to get him caught up and doing what he needs to do. But again, and then to make sure he gets it. It's not an easy thing he's going through. So life lessons are important, but we're all given chances to learn, and so he's in that position now. I think I've covered it. You guys, time's yours.
Question, Coach. Just following up on that. Do you and does the team do you all still trust Rasheed with his judgment making?
Yeah, I was just going to leave it with what I said there. Yeah, I mean, I know lessons can be learned, and that's important.
Regarding the knee with Rasheed and not the off-the-field issues, how did that about him needing that cleanup procedure, and do you expect him to be ready by camp?
Yeah, so we think he'll be ready for camp as we go forward. We'll just see how it goes. He's been in communication with Rick, and he knows the rehab that he can do there, and I think they're keeping an eye on him, as far as any possible infection goes.
Coach, speaking about potentially being ready for camp, obviously the big one, Patrick Mahomes, 3 days of workouts on the field out there. How's he looking to you, and how encouraged are you by his progress?
Yeah, Herbie, I like what I've seen. He's working hard. This is good for him. I mean, getting out there and throwing, it's good rehab as he, continued rehab, so he keeps a feel with the receivers where he's doing partial practice, but it's important. It's important to keep his timing up, and he's busted his tail to put himself in this position. Most guys wouldn't even be able to do this, but he's put himself in that position, and I know we've got good communication with the doctors, and they keep a close eye on it and what's real and what's not real. So, and then we listen to them.
To finish up, injuries, Hicks and Worthy were non-contact, and Norman Lott was at a helmet. I was wondering if there's updates on each guy.
Yeah, I normally don't do injuries during this, so but they had a procedure done, so we keep them where their doctors want them, non-contact.
I know we've asked before a little bit about some of the new, or in Eric's case and Old Face coming back, but some of the new offensive coaches. Now you've had a little bit more time with him. You've seen some more stuff on the field. So what are your thoughts about kind of what they bring, and it's different, better, whatever?
Yeah. No, listen, I like the old coaches' job too, so I don't want to slight them, but it's good to have these guys in there. They've got some experience at their spots, and they're challenging the guys with fundamentals and techniques, the thing they can get done now. DeMarco's case, he's been there as a player. He's got a good relationship with EB. EB also knows that spot like the back of his hand. So, and then as far as Chad goes, Chad is got 24 years in this league, so he's got a lot of experience and coached a lot of really good players, and so it's good to have him in that spot in that room. And then EB brings great energy. I mean, he knows everything. He's got it all down, and he can coach any spot, and he does a great job with it.
Andy, for this week's practices, did you feel like there was anything you had to do to adjust for Patrick's participation, and just what was the thought process of just not having him a part of it?
Yeah, Nate, so we just keep
the team portion.
Yeah, we just keep him out of the team portion. Other than that, he's doing a good job with everything else. So he can he can travel under center as long as I just don't want him in any area where there might be a sweep coming, the jet sweep action or something of that sort. So we've got to keep him out of those those situations.
How beneficial is this week for Xavier? Even though he had the procedure, how beneficial is it for him?
Yeah, you know what? He's really doing a nice job. It's great for him to be able to detail things, and he's working like crazy at it. And I think he feels more comfortable now. You know, he had a couple things cleaned out there, so he's feeling good about that, and I think he's in a good spot. We just don't want to take any steps back. You know.
Andy, progress report just on two guys, Chipotle and Jalen Roy. Just what you've seen from them.
Yeah, so they're rotating in with the first group, and with Rasheed not here, it gives Jalen some great reps. You know, at the wide receiver position, he's strong. He looks strong out here and running well and that whole deal. So it's good. It's great for him. It's great for him to and the quarterbacks to see what he's all about on repeated reps. Issa, you can tell he really worked this off season, and he looks strong out there. He's a smart kid when you get to know him. He doesn't have a ton of experience, but he's a smart kid, and he gets it. So he's getting reps in there with the starters and kind of rotating in. Andy does a nice job of rotating those guys at guard and tackle. So, yeah.
We'll go around the room here. Let's start with Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Andy, I'm sure you're not surprised by Patrick's determination to get back, but I wonder if you thought he'd be this advanced in those first few days after the injury.
Yeah, I don't put anything past him, so I don't want to tell you. And I think everybody's different in how you go about, you approach it, and so but I wouldn't put it past where he's at, and I don't judge it. I just, people say, is he ahead of schedule? And I'm not, like, who made the schedule, right? So everybody's different, and so the way he goes about it is different. He and Julie have spent a ton of time working together, and she's tough on him now, man. I mean, she puts him through the ropes there. So, and he's willing to come back. Half the battle, I think, on that, besides the healing part, right? Half the battle is trusting the person that's doing the rehab with you, and then showing up the next day. And it doesn't necessarily feel good, but if you keep coming, it works out okay.
And you feel like he's learned or been disciplined about the restraint he needs? I mean, because I'm sure it's tempting for him to overdo it.
Yeah, because she gauges that, so she knows when to back him down, and I mean, he'll stay here and do anything. So she knows how to gauge him and what to do with him. He misses nothing. He saw Matt out there with a boot on, and he right away, huh? he was worried about you.
Harold.
Rookies had their own spot, but now they're kind of ingraining themselves with the veterans. How do you think that's progressed? And also, Kenneth Walker, how do you feel he's just fitting into the fold?
Yeah, you know what? He's doing a good job. He's got a ton of energy, and you can tell he loves to play the game, wants to learn what we're doing here. He's coming from a great program, so he gets it. It takes work to be good, and he's willing to do that. Stronger than Knox. I mean, he's put together now.
Also, with the rookies ingraining themselves with the veterans, how's that process?
Yeah, it's been good. It's a good rookie class, it looks like. So they're able to. They've got an aptitude to them where you can tell them something once and they get it, as opposed to having to repeat and repeat and repeat. So they seem to be pretty sharp kids.
Nick.
Yeah, Andy, when you look at the running back room collectively, what's kind of stood out and jumped out at you through the first 3 days?
Yeah, you've got that. You've got a nice mix of a couple of veteran guys that have been there, done it, and then you got this influx of young guys that are just eager and to learn. And I think that's healthy. So there's going to be pretty good competition, I think, amongst those guys for that final roster spot there.
Herbie?
Coach, with Mahomes not working with teams, you're getting a really good look at Justin Fields with the first team. What are some of your impressions so far? Has he done anything that surprises you?
Yeah, very smart, and a hard worker, and very calm. Like he's a cool cucumber, man. Right? He gets it. He's been there. You can tell he's been there. Again, he's trying to work on all the ball actions that we're doing, play action stuff that we're doing that might be a little bit different. Some of the drops, trying to fit him in with the receivers. He doesn't know all these receivers yet, so he's getting to know these guys, and so he can stay on time with them. But I like what I see. Extremely smart, though. I mean, he's sharp.
Sam?
Yeah, a couple things. Andy, I just don't want to assume anything based on your opening statement, but your anticipation is that Rasheed's not going to be facing any discipline. Is that what you're saying in the league?
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't know that. I know he's done some things already that he's got to take care of, so that we're giving to him. But I haven't heard anything. No, we're kind of moving forward.
And then the second thing is with some of the coaches, and not a commentary on last year's coaches, but Chad seems to have a lot of energy out there, and obviously ED's energy. Do you feel that at practice every day?
Yeah, you notice it. Yeah, I think they love what they're doing. I think all of them they love what they're doing, and they're not afraid to express that. The players feel it. I think that's healthy, and I think that discipline on offense is very, very important. That you maintain that and incorporate that into the structure of what you're doing as far as running plays.
We'll go last three. Steve, go ahead. Oh, you good? Good, Darren?
Coach, well, going back to the rookies, Cyrus Allen in particular, because I know he was on offense, talking to him before the draft, he said he is someone who wants to make sure he knows the X, Y, and Z position. Obviously, with the reps that he's able to get now, what have you seen from him thus far?
Yeah,
the retention of the rookies with the playbook.
He's doing a nice job with that, actually. So it's a good question. He's got a good feel for the three spots there, from whether it's inside or the two outside spots, and the Y is the tight end, by the way. Just make sure you get. Right. Detail your work, man. Zebra is the inside guy. All right. So yeah. All right. Well, he's doing a nice job with it.
Nate?
Andy, when you guys aren't on the practice field before this week, you talked before about the participation obviously being high. Just what have you noticed from your core leaders, Chris, Travis, Patrick, about what they're trying to imprint to the rest of the guys for this upcoming season?
Yeah, Nick Bolton, another one. I mean, these guys that have been there and done it. Drew is part of that too. He's been around a long time. So, and there are others, Creed and Trey. I mean, they know what it takes and the discipline that it takes. So, between all those guys, they're not afraid to express that and work. Get them to continue to work.
Last one, Neil Jones. You still?
Coach, how has OTAs changed for you guys over the years, and is this one got a little more juice because of the way last year ended?
I don't know. I think they've all, when they come back, they're always a little bit juiced up for Phase 3, beginning of Phase 3. I've liked the turnout we've had. It's probably one of the better turnouts we've had, so that's important. And I like that energy. And I don't know if it's, I don't harp on last year and all that. That's past. We're moving forward. You learn from it and you go. One great thing about the NFL, man, is every year is a little bit different, and you better approach it that way and maximize yourself for that year.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
All right, there's Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes and Trey Smith when they get up to the podium here in just a little bit. OTAs wrapping up, and then some mandatory minicamp coming up in just a little bit. But the beginning part there, him giving the statement before asked about it on Rashee Rice, saying, we're aware, the league's aware, we've talked with the league, there's been no talk of anything further, have to make sure he gets it. Life lessons are important, and chances are given to learn those life lessons. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
It's good to be back on the field and just be with the guys. I think more than anything, when you're some of those days you're rehab and you're kind of here by yourself or with a couple of the other guys, and you kind of get that juice whenever everyone gets back in the building. So it was good to be out there and be able to take part in a little bit of the practice.
And how you doing with the brace?
I wore a brace in college, so I'm on the same knee, and so it's not too different than what I've felt before, and so now it's just kind of just getting adjusted to it. But obviously, I'm not like running and cutting and doing all that stuff in it yet, so that'll get another adjustment period at some point. But it's good to get these reps now, so I can kind of speed that adjustment period along.
Obviously, the goal for you is still week number 1 for you, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a competitor, I want to be out there with my guys, but I know that's still a long ways away, and so all I can do is just execute the day and do whatever I can to be better that day. And so we've done that up until now, and we've kind of set these checkpoints and these goals of like where I want to be at, and I've gotten to those. And so now I'm going to continue to do that at the right pace.
People talk about your competitiveness, but what's a normal day, week look like for you? Because they talk about you being up for all the time. So what's like a normal 9 to 5, Monday through Friday looking like for you?
Yeah, I mean, right now, with the practices, it gets a little bit longer. But I mean, you come in early in the morning, you rehab and kind of get everything moving around. Then you go to meetings. You come down, you warm up before practice, go to practice, and then you come out of practice. Usually I'd be rehabbing right now. Brad's got me in here. But then you go to meetings again, and then you end up going and rehabbing it after, and then I go home and then chase kids around until I fall asleep.
Finally, during your golf thing, did you do any recruiting when you were out there?
I didn't do much recruiting. I leave that to Veach and the guys. I think we recruit ourselves just by who we are. So I like having veterans around and guys like that and at that tournament, and they're the only guys that can get off work that week. And so there were some good football players there, but I didn't do any recruiting in that standpoint. I think I leave that to Veach and the guys.
Patrick, obviously you're going to have some physical stuff you want to get through. You mentioned just cutting and stuff. What sort of mental stuff do you want to get through over the next couple of months before you feel mentally ready?
Yeah, I think it comes at a pace. I think this first step was getting the 7-on-7, and for me, it's more of just seeing the defense. I've been a long time of not being out there and seeing the plays develop, the defense out there, and so it's been good to see that. Just even if I'm just from the pocket and stuff like that. And then the next step will be getting with team and getting under center and stuff like that. But I'm willing to kind of progress to that, and then it'll be going out there and playing, being live and with the guys, and then eventually you get the games. And so it's a process. You got to stay a part of it, and I've kind of learned that all I can do is be great that day. And if I continue to be great every single day, then I can get to those goals, that I can get the opportunity to be out there on the field.
You mentioned checkpoints. Obviously 7-on-7 a day, no 11-on-11. Is it feasible for you maybe to participate in 11-on-11 at the start of training camp, or is that a goal that'll be midway?
I mean, it's kind of, we'll see. Like, you kind of have like these like week to 2 week kind of checkpoints where I got to get to. So I think the biggest thing for me now is kind of getting to the running and cutting, and I've started that stuff. But until I'm able to protect myself and go out there and be there, they're going to keep me safe and not let me have the opportunity as much as I want to be out there. But I think if I can continue to do this stuff the right way, that's the hope for me at least. And so all I can do is execute this next checkpoint of getting that cutting, being able to protect myself, prove to Julie and Rick and those guys and Dr. Cooper that I can protect myself. Then they'll let me go out there and be a part of the team drills, and then that'll progress into games.
Patrick, how much of a comfort is it to have Julie be sort of a part of this process? Obviously, she's been traveling with you as well. And what are the ways that she's sort of tried to both push you and encourage you? It's sort of I feel like it's like a yo-yo effect at times.
Yeah, it's a lot like just, I've known her for so long, and I trust her so much. It's kind of like when I train with Bobby or even when I'm at home with Brittany, they know how to like push me whenever I don't feel like doing the work. And so Julie has a great feel with, I mean, there's days you come in, you're tired, I mean, you're sore and your stuff like that, but she's going to make sure I finish the entire workout, and I'm going to do it the right way. And you got to have someone that's going to push you like that, that's not scared to push you even when you're not feeling great. And she does that, and she knows when to kind of pull back on some days. She can tell how I'm working out if I need to pull back or how I'm feeling. And so just having the ultimate trust that she's going to do that, it lets me just go out there and just work and not have to think about, am I doing too much, am I doing not enough? And knowing that she's talked to Dr. Cooper, she's talked to Rick, she's talked to everybody, and she knows what she's doing. And so definitely a big advantage for me having her in the building.
What adjustments have you had to make while you've been out here and you're in the brace and everything? Is there a big adjustment, or is it just
I told Coach Reed I think it's helping me a little bit because I can't move around, so it's kind of settling my feet down. It's kind of like when I hurt my ankle. Sometimes it's like I can't scramble and I can't do these things, so it makes me sit in the pocket and go through the reads and do that stuff. So I'm gonna try to use it to my advantage. Like it's something I can get better at is progressing through the entire concept and stuff like that. And I don't have the ability to scramble and do that stuff right now, and so it should help me in those things. That hopefully whenever I get that ability back, I still will go through the progressions at a higher rate than I've done in the past.
And Coach Reed talked about EB being back out there,
Mm-hmm.
the energy, it's picked up.
Yeah,
What do you mean having him back in your headset?
Yeah, no, it's just a standard that you have to practice with and you have to play with, and he's going to hold you to that standard no matter who you are, from the first guy to the 90th guy right now. He's going to hold you to that standard, and I think that's something that it's hard to replicate. I think that's the best way. She knows what she's doing, and so definitely a big advantage for me having her in the building.
What adjustments have you had to make while you've been out here and you're in the breaks and everything? Is there a big adjustment, or is it just?
I told Coach Reed I think it's helping me a little bit. They know why we're doing it. I think it's kind of, you can see it, the guys, and they want to be great and they want to be better than we were last year. And so we've had a good start to these OTAs, and we just got to keep pushing through it.
For the guys that haven't had an EB, what was your message to them? Like what to expect about you?
I mean, they still haven't seen EB yet. You know what I mean? Like, he's taking. I'm not gonna say he's taking it easy. He's still pushing the guys, but he holds them to a standard. They haven't had those days because it's usually training camp when guys get tired, right, and they lose kind of that will to kind of finish and to kind of do all the exact right things, and that's when EB's going to hold you to that standard. And so we haven't gotten to there yet, but as long as you keep having good practices, we can prolong that as long as possible. But I love it, man. I truly do. And I think you can fit it in the meeting rooms, like the way he carries himself with the confidence that he carries himself with. I think it really focuses you in on what you're learning, the little details of things. And so it's been exciting to me. That first meeting had me run through a brick wall, man. It had me ready to go.
Fine, go ahead.
Patrick, rehab can be, emotionally kind of demanding for a lot of people. Have you had challenges that way, like anybody else, in terms of just finding the juice?
Not necessarily just finding the juice. I think it's just, at the beginning, there was things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do yet, and so those days were hard. But I always look back at the week. We will take some videos, and I look back at the week prior, and I'm making progress. I think if I'm making progress, I have to continue to just do that. And so even though it might not be the perfect thing to do, I have to just keep reminding myself that I am making progress, I am getting better, and you got to push yourself through those days. It's not always perfect, it's hard days, and you got to push yourself through because the end goal is where you're trying to get to, and I think that's just kind of how I am.
And just in the days right after the injury, would you have pictured being this advanced at this point, or maybe you didn't set any limitation or expectation? Yeah,
I wanted to play, so I don't want to miss games as much as possible. I know it's not all in my control. It's in God's control at some point, but I'm going to give myself a chance by the way I work, to be the best I can be. And so I'm in a good spot now compared to where some people thought, but I thought I was going to be here. So it's just doing what I'm supposed to do every single day, and then hopefully that gives me the chance to be out there with the guys whenever we start the season.
We got time for a few more guys. Go ahead, Jesse.
Hey, Patrick, you said in January your goal was week 1
Mm-hmm.
back. We've had a few more months now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts now?
Yeah, that's always going to be the goal. I don't want to miss games. As a competitor, as a football player, I want to be there. I know, like I said, I know it's still a long ways away. I can't predict the future, and so all I can do is be great today and then continue to be great tomorrow. But I've gotten to where I've gotten to because of that mindset, and the goal at the end, the very far end, is to be ready and to be able to go out there and play with the guys week 1 at Arrowhead. But I gotta take it day by day.
Matt,
as far as getting there, being out there with the guys, you have a history of coming back from injuries faster than expected. With this and just being a football player, what's the difference between your body being 100% and you feeling 100%?
I don't know. I'm be honest with you. I know that whenever I get out there on the field and I feel like I can be Patrick Mahomes, I'll be Patrick Mahomes. There's no I've never not felt like I'm 100%. Even when I have a sprained ankle, I feel like I'm 100% of what I can be. And so I'm going to have that mindset when I go on the field. And when I get on the field, I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to lay it all on the line for my guys and my teammates.
Last two, Herbie and then Sam. Go ahead, Herbie.
Patrick, you got another Super Bowl MVP in the offensive huddle now, along with yourself. What are your impressions so far of Kenneth Walker?
I mean, he's a great. First of all, he's a great dude. I think that's the first thing I noticed. Like you can tell he truly cares about football. He cares about his teammates. If he's not in the play, he's helping the guys on the sideline, and he's trying to learn and asking me questions, doing those things. And then he's a great football player. I mean, even from what y'all saw today, like it's special the way he's able to run the football, catch the football, do everything. And I said I'm kind of built like him, but not just like built like him yet. But he's gonna help. He's gonna help us a lot on this team by his mindset and the football player that he is.
Sam, last one.
Patrick, you mentioned just the not being able to move has kind of forced you to. Is that something I assume you work on it every offseason? Was that already going to be a point of emphasis this offseason?
It always is to me because that's something that I've been able to move a lot, so it's helped me. I've made a lot of big plays happening, scrambling, doing that stuff. But as a quarterback, and especially as you continue to get older, you want to be able to make plays from within the pocket and throw it to the right guys and let these guys make plays. And that was going to be something that I continue to work at. But now I have no choice. If it's not there, I'm not able to scramble, so I got to get through my reads and throw it to the right guy. And so I've seen progress that even in these first 3 days is like one times I might have scrambled and tried to make a crazy play happen. I've kind of just stayed in the pocket, got through the reads, and hit the appropriate guy. And I'm hoping that helps me out whenever I'm able to scramble and do those things again.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes. We'll hear from Trey Smith here in just a little bit. A lot of stuff there from Patrick.
Third person Patrick.
Yeah.
I know when Patrick Mahomes gets back out there, I'm going to be Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, when I'm on the field, I'm going to be Patrick Mahomes. I thought it was a good question from Matt of the difference between your body feeling 100% and you, or your body 100% versus you feeling 100%. And his answer was, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. When I'm on the field, I'm Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to be 100% of whatever I'm available to be on the field, which is true. As you talked about, look, when I had the ankle injury, then it was 100% of what I could be, and I'm going to do whatever I can and lay it all on the line for my guys, which is the part of where you say you protect him from himself. If he's out there on the field, you know if a play happens, even if it's not the AFC Championship game and it's week number 1, that week number 1 is the AFC Championship game and that play for Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to do whatever it takes on this particular play. So if it's lowering my shoulder, if it's running outside the pocket, or it's trying to, slip by a defender to pick up an extra yard, I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's sometimes protect him from himself. But he also pointed out something that we have talked about a lot since the injury, and that is the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl with the ankle. And people that don't know ball, that look at it and say Patrick is a guy that doesn't work from the pocket. Well, we'll find out, and we've seen that before. Here's Trey Smith.
You're all just talking to Patrick. What have you seen in the time he's been here that just makes you so impressed that he's out there? And he said his goal is ready to be for week 1. What have you just been impressed by him?
Talking about Patrick?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing not to be impressed about, man. Obviously, one of the best competitors I've been around, a guy who takes the game seriously, a student of the game, but also one of the best leaders I've been around, does things the right way, a great leader of men, and someone that really wants to be great. So nothing surprised me in terms of what he does every single day.
Is that contagious to the rest of the team?
100%. When you have a guy that you guys can band around, a cohesive leader for the unit, it definitely helps out tremendously.
Trey, we talked to Patrick, but for the players who haven't been here, you, of course, when you got here, Eric being the West, the offensive coordinator, what have you had a chance to tell some of your newer teammates that haven't had a chance to be coached or yelled by EB?
Get it together, or he'll get you together. The thing about EB, man, he's going to bring the energy, the passion, and juice, and the intensity that we need. And he wants you to be great as a player. And that's the thing. He's going to coach you hard, but you understand it's coming out of a place of love because he sees potential and passion in what you do, and he just wants to see. He wants you to be great.
Not taking anything away from Nagy, but was that something that you feel like may have been missing over the last 3 years?
Oh, man, Coach Nagy was great, man. Nagy's brought the juice every single day. It was honestly a pleasure to be able to work with him, a great offensive mind as well. And, we're excited to have EB, but it was great to work with Coach Nagy as well.
Trey, you played through the back injury last year, and there's always little dings. How are you feeling right now going into camp? And did the offseason help you as far as just kind of restoring yourself?
Yeah, definitely ready to go back to work. Just understand, the more years you go up, the more age, you miles you put on your body. That's on me as a professional to make sure I'm ready and good to go. And, in terms of recovery and things of that nature, just keep stepping up my games. As the years keep progressing, if I keep evolving in my game, recovery has to keep evolving. And I think back to like Joe Tooney told me at a young age, just like, hey, man, I realized at an early age, if I didn't stretch every day, if I didn't do these things, I wouldn't be playing offensive line very long. So just trying to learn and add more things to my toolbox so I have more longevity as I keep playing.
Trey, we saw you did a lot of reps today, but next to Isapole, I guess year to year, I mean, it's been 1 year, but how have you seen him throw?
Yeah, Esa's been doing a phenomenal job, man, growing his knowledge of the game, coming to work every day. Esa brings the energy, man. He's a fun guy to be around, a fun young guy to be around. All of our tackles are doing a great job right now, and, just looking forward to playing.
With EB and Kenneth, in the fold too, with that new running back group, and it seems like there's going to be a little more focus on the run game, especially with Patrick's mission the first couple of weeks. How excited are you for, knowing that, you might be a little more run focused this year, and how excited is that permeated across the offensive line?
Yeah, man. Every single year we want to establish run. We want to be great at runs, so that doesn't change. But, definitely excited to work with K9, Kenneth. He's awesome, man. Another West Tennessee native, so that's cool. One of those guys back there. I know he's tough. But, man, it's a pleasure, man. I'm really excited just to get going, to get this offense progressing.
Couple more.
How much of what the way last season ended, that way last season went, how much of that is driving you and a bunch of your teammates? Right?
Yeah, every single day. I mean, I hadn't experienced that in the NFL, and we've had a great run of success, and we have an objective and goal every single year we step onto the field. And for us, we fell short of those goals, and so for us, it's how do we get back to that winning culture and where we want to be at the end of the year, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy.
We'll go last three. Pete, Todd, me.
So far, what have you seen from Ken Walker, and how do you feel like maybe he's going to boost what you guys are able to do in the run game this year?
Yeah, just being a professional, man, just hungry to learn our system, just wanting to be great, man. I feel like he does an excellent job, phenomenal job of just going in there, going hard, wanting to be taught, willing to be coached, and like I said, man, I'm really excited to block for him. Being a former MVP, it's a really cool thing to be able to have a running back like that. We also have a great running back room in general. D. Ricardo, Sharp Smith, a couple rookies that we have as well. Just a phenomenal group of guys. Coach Murray doing a phenomenal job coaching them up, man. It's just an exciting group to be around.
I wanted to ask you about Kenneth too. Is he someone you had watched and admired before? And then can you really get a real feel for what it's going to be like to block for him until you get to?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really feel football until it's football. You don't know that until you're 9-7 and training camp at St. Joe's, and then the first game of the year, and then even a couple weeks on, so you start progressing and get different feels. But I think it's awesome, just the entire group itself, being able to talk to them. I think a big thing is just seeing how they see it. The offensive line is a cohesive unit, 5 guys, the same set of eyes, right? And being on the same page requires reps and time and attention. And, over time, we'll get that feel, and I'm just really excited about the opportunity.
Last one, Nate.
Trey, when you went from being a rookie, it's so much about the pre-draft, and then you feel like you're trying to learn a ton, then you play as a rookie. How much difference is it going from year 1 to year 2, and is that what maybe excites you most about the potential of what Josh is able to do coming back from his own injury at left tackle?
Yeah, year 1's a blur. You're trying to hold on, but everything's flying at you, man. You go from, you had a whole college season straight into draft prep, and now you're into a whole new organization, a whole new city, a whole new town, a whole new group of people, coaches, etc. So you're really just trying to grasp everything you can while it's going a million miles per hour, and then so you know it's over for the first year. But I think the beauty of it is that first year, you start to really build up your football acumen, and in that second year, the game starts to slow down a little bit. So naturally, you're going to progress. And I love Josh Simmons, man. I love what he's doing. Kingsley Suamatia, he's doing a phenomenal job as well. And, the game's going to keep slowing down for him as they get more reps and more actual game experience. So just really excited about their development. Coach Heck, Coach Matei, they do a phenomenal job developing players, man. And it's a great system. They're going to be great.
Thanks, Trey.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
All right, there's Trey Smith. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling more zone right after this. I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Michael Darcy, heading up until 2 o'clock. The program comes your way when we are done. Tonight, Oklahoma City and San Antonio, game number 6 right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We talked about things we heard from Andy Reid after Andy Reid talked, just mainly about Rashee Rice, and there's been no talk with the league of anything further with Rashee Rice. Sam McDowell then offered a follow-up and said, just for clarification, you don't expect there to be a suspension for Rashee Rice? And he said, we don't know that. Then he said he's done some things already he was given to him. And I don't know, does that mean the suspension last year is what he's saying? That, I don't know. I thought that was odd.
Like community service?
I thought that was an odd drop in there, that things that was given to him by the league since he's gone to jail that he's done. Like, I don't know what that was, but maybe it was the things that the league suspended him for and things he was supposed to do he's already done. I'm not sure. But he said he doesn't know, and not saying one way or another if there's going to be a further suspension. He just said there has been no talk with the league of anything in the future, just that they're aware of it, Chiefs are aware of it, and the league and the Chiefs have talked. Asked about, do you trust his decision-making moving forward, and said, I'll leave it at what I said about lessons can be learned, chances are given. It's important that you learn those lessons. Okay, so this is another...
Fool me once, shame on you.
Yes.
Fool me twice, well...
You're not going to fool me twice.
Well, you can't get fooled again.
You can't get fooled again. Yeah, that's right.
No, still shame on you. Fool me 3 times, though.
Oh, eventually it's going to be... Eventually I'm going to have the shame.
Well, no, that's still you. Fool me 4 times.
Right.
You fool me four times. We're going to have a conversation. You fool me 5 times.
But here's the thing. The SMU wasn't fooled by the Chiefs. They were aware of that. They didn't get fooled by Rashee Rice at the SMU stuff. They were aware of it. After that, then it's the fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times.
You fool me 6 times. Well, clearly I don't understand, so stop trying to fool me. How do you get any pleasure out of fooling me 6 times?
You can't.
Fool me 7 times, Rashee.
Nope.
We might
Nothing
release
about
you.
that one. Patrick Mahomes was asked about Eric Bieniemy. I thought this stood out. And he was asked about what, the young guys, and he was joking about they haven't seen the real EB yet. In training camp, that's when he, pushes you more, you get tired and all that stuff. And he goes, was asked about Eric Bieniemy and the new face, but things that he brings to the table. And he talks about the discipline, and he holds you to a standard, and he said, quote, that can't be replicated. That line stood out to me because they've talked about the discipline, what Eric Bieniemy brings, the details. And since he's been gone, and Patrick's saying, yeah, that can't be replicated. Whatever Eric Bieniemy does, you could try with other guys to fill that role. It's not going to work. It's with that one guy, and that's what that one guy brings to the table. I thought that line stood out to me, that it can't be replicated for what Eric Bieniemy does.
I thought a lot of the EB talk between Patrick and Trey was intriguing, because when Trey was talking about EB, he was laughing, having fun. Then was asked about, kind of Matt Nagy, and is that what you needed? He got into kind of coach speak. Not in a bad way. I do think they all respect and they like Nagy. I'm not saying they don't like him, but there just seems to be a almost jovial, jokey nature about the hardness that Eric Bieniemy brings that feels like these players enjoy. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you're already a hard worker and you know you're a hard worker and you know that maybe under, and this is me talking, let's say under Matt Nagy, maybe some of the guys who aren't the hardest workers could get away with some stuff, right? Maybe you can get away with it. But if you're a hard worker, you're sitting here going, that's BS. That's BS. I'm working my ass off either way. Whoever the coach is, I'm working hard. But the accountability that's been in the conversation for so long, and let's say you're Trey or you're Patrick, you're a hard worker. Well, now all those guys, all the young dudes coming up right now, maybe some things you could get away with in practice, maybe a couple things that were going under the radar, they ain't getting away with those anymore.
Yep. Also,
that's my read.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. And O'Shea versus, previous. Hey, nothing to say anything about the previous guy, but what O'Shea is bringing to the table. Also, every single player thinks that their area makes you tough to where you came from. I thought that was great from Trey Smith. Like Kenneth Walker, a West Tennessee kid, he's tough. It's like no matter. Oh man, Northern Iowa kid, you know he's tough, man. Oh, this dude,
Leewood kid, you know he's tough.
Eastern Johnson County, Kansas, like you know he's going to be tough, man. Middle of Colorado, you know it's a tough dude.
Palm Springs, you know it's a tough guy.
Tough guy, man.
Tough
when you're
dude.
from that area, it's a tough dude, man. Manhattan, Long Island,
tough dude.
tough guy. You know, Hawaii, Honolulu, tough to survive there. Tough dude, you're from there. But yeah, West Tennessee boys, tough dudes. Last one, we talked Chiefs obviously there, but I wanted to bring this up because I think it's something over the next 48 to 72 hours we might be following and seeing. Milan Momcilovic withdrew from the NBA draft last night with minutes to go on the clock or whatever, but he knew he was going to withdraw. There's conversations with Arizona. The leaders in the clubhouse for Momcilovic seem to be Kentucky, Louisville, Arizona, and St. John's. And with Arizona making a late push, but the feeling is they've got a lot of ground to make up. Gary Parrish told a funny story that he's there at the Big 12 meetings with all the coaches, and you see Tommy Lloyd, and these people are in a meeting, and Momcilovic is making his decision, and Tommy Lloyd is putting this full court press on him, and he goes, Tommy Lloyd is getting a phone call, and he leaves the meeting, and TJ Otzelberger is in the same meeting, and you both know why Tommy Lloyd is leaving the meeting to go take this phone call. It's because it's trying to get Milan Momcilovic in the last minute, right? You're doing whatever you can to land this guy that Otzelberger can't afford. And so it's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're going to talk to my ex-girlfriend? Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I'm just going to stay and hang out here, and that's cool. But it feels like Kentucky is the leader in the clubhouse right now because they did not get Stokes, and they have been criticized heavily from their own fan base about this offseason so far that it's probably going to be willing to throw whatever amount of money it takes to get Momcilovic. Louisville has spent money on Flory and Shellstad and Ikizi, the number 16 player in America, the freshman. They spent a lot of money there. Arizona has the number 3 and 33 transfers in America, the number 3 and 33 players in America, freshmen, and then a top 50 transfer. St. John's has the number 4 and number 15 transfers, and then you've got Kentucky.
Brutal for Baylor losing Yesufu.
Yes, Yesufu, the number 4 transfer in America, Freeman, the number 15 transfer from Syracuse, going to St. John's. And the question I would have, though, is KU spent the money on Stokes, the number 1 player, freshman in America. Kentucky is the heavy leader in the clubhouse to get Momcilovic because they've got the money and they missed out on Stokes. If Kentucky lands Stokes, does Kansas become the leader for Momcilovic? Because, man, doesn't that feel like the puzzle piece would work more with this group with Momcilovic as opposed to Stokes?
Yes, by a wide margin, I think, because just the veteran nature of Momcilovic, played in the Big 12, by the way, already, so he knows the landscape. But I don't know if you were Bill Self, you could count on that, because what if he goes pro? What if he stays in the NBA draft, and now you don't have Stokes or Momcilovic?
Yeah, you say, no thank you, Stokes. We're gonna hold off from Momcilovic, and then Stokes goes to Kentucky and Momcilovic stays in the draft. Yeah, you're stuck there.
You're hosed. Or then he ends up going to Arizona, then you have,
I just don't think U of L can find even more money to pay $6 or $7 million for Momcilovic. Arizona's already spent a lot of money. St. John's has spent a lot of money. How much do they have left?
Kentucky's desperate.
But if they had Stokes, they wouldn't be desperate to spend $6 million. And if Kansas didn't